The Final Fantasy XVI reviews are in, and they are glowing. While there are remaining issues with performance mode, we are seeing people throwing around really low resolution numbers. What does this all mean? What exactly is going on with the game? Some people even criticizing the story. Really, we're going to try to figure out what the verdict is. I will lean on the Digital Foundry video along with a review that didn't like the story, and then I'll give you that sort of buckshot summary review from a handful of outlets to give you a picture of where Final Fantasy XVI is landing. I still think we're looking at a Game of the Year contender from everything I have seen, but the game definitely is worthy of some criticisms. Now, I put all of the good information here at the beginning of the video, so you don't have to go searching for it. It's a live stream, so it's a longer video. I discuss the opening monologue with the live audience, so make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss out on the content. So Final Fantasy XVI is here, and the reviews are almost universally very good. But like every game launch, there are some issues and some criticisms that we are hearing. First, I want to give you a very quick review roundup. I will be leaning on Digital Foundry, since much of the false narratives we are seeing on Twitter, as well as other places, are stemming from a very short segment of the Digital Foundry video about performance mode. Then, I do want to talk about the performance issues and why this game does deserve criticism for where these issues are landing. Lastly, I do want to talk about how there is a difference between fair and unfair criticisms. There's ways to look at games, there's ways to talk about things. If a game doesn't launch on the box that you don't like, it's typically then used as an excuse to take the most minor criticisms and weaponize them. I find the whole thing rather tiring, especially in light of the fact that games like Jedi Survivor were not criticized enough, and it's still sitting with massive performance issues even after 2 months and its 6th patch. So, where does Final Fantasy XVI fall? Well, let's pull from some help for reviews, again, primarily Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry describes it as, Final Fantasy XVI arrives in excellent condition, and it's one of the most polished games I've reviewed this year. Quote, not 100% perfect due to issues in its performance mode, but it's as close to a perfect release that we've seen in a long time. Now, this may not jive with what you have seen on Twitter. If you see people ripping out things from the Digital Foundry video, it's very clear that John Linneman had nothing but glowing praise for this game while being honest and critical about some of its shortcomings. Quote, the real-time cutscenes are beginning to resemble pre-rendered videos of the past. Digital Foundry also had high praise for character design, clothing details, lighting, and shadows. Described much of those things as sublime and pristine, well done, hitting almost CGI levels. He breaks down the difference between A, B, and C tier cutscenes, right? There's a big difference between when you have something massive happening or a fight or a very poignant moment. That's not going to be quite the same as when you're talking to, a vendor or somebody in a town and you're just sort of both standing there. Now, he goes into detail about why the A-tier sequences are some of the best that Square Enix has done and even some of the best in the business, but that tends to make those lower tier sequences stand out. Not that they're bad, but they're pretty standard of fare, which makes them seem a little lower quality. You go from this amazing intense scene of fighting somebody to just sort of standing there and talking to someone. He says that the height of those A-tier scenes can make it a bit jarring. Now, in the realm of combat, he says that combat feels sublime. Even cape physics have minimal clipping, which he praised because when you're roaming around, it's kind of nice to see your sword not jamming through your cape. Also talks about how there are many powerful cutscenes seamlessly rolling right into gameplay. This is one area where games are getting even better at this. You zoom the camera out, there's this amazing in-engine, in-game cinematic of a boss, and then the camera just pulls right back down on your player, and he talks about how that is done exceptionally well in this game. He also had no problem with the motion blur and thought that it helped bring a cinematic feel. Now, he admits there's mixed feedback on the motion blur, and it agrees that players should be able to disable it. This is one of the rare games where I didn't even really notice the motion blur. I typically turn that off right away. Now, we have confirmation that they will be giving you that option. We don't know when, but they are setting their sights on letting you turn off motion blur. If you experience it in the demo and you didn't like it, well, you will have that option to turn it off at some point. When he describes the environments and the settings, he says the environments are beautiful, they're fun to explore. Talks again about lighting and shadows, giving it high praise, going into great detail about just how good the use of shadows and lighting is in this, actually compared it to Lies of P, and just said you can see the clear difference between games that take a lot of time with their lighting to really make sure it looks a little less like a video game with just set pieces placed everywhere and things look more like they are organically in the world. Says that some areas, though, do feel a tad cross-gen. There are areas that just look a little bit more bland compared to some of the more detailed areas, and that water, in a similar way, it goes from being amazing in some areas while looking less impressive in others. The icon fights he talks about have scales off the charts and are marvelous. These are the big fights where you're, seeing like two monsters blast away at each other. If you're not familiar with what that is, that's what the icon fights are. And he says, at its best, Final Fantasy XVI sings, but he does take some issue with decisions with quality and performance. He says performance mode doesn't look great, and they seem to be using FSR1, which is generally frowned upon. When playing on a big television, he says it just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, and if delivered at a stable frame rate, he would be way less likely to complain. Like if they were basically able to achieve the 60 FPS, he would be okay with some of the decisions they made in performance mode specifically. He actually recommends quality mode, which he says is capped at 30 FPS and it stays there 99% of the time. That's an important distinction because many people just play games automatically on quality mode, and it sounds like they're in for a very consistent ride. Feels like the intention here with the developers was to make this sort of the default, right? If we're going to do this, this is how we're going to start out. We're going to build the game. We're going to kind of anticipate people being on quality mode. Now, he references the 40 FPS, 120 Hz mode in Forspoken, and he hopes that Final Fantasy XVI can get one as well. Then, the question would be, many people are going to run and say, well, there's a patch. There's a patch for day one, even though they said they weren't going to need a day one patch. They needed a day one patch. What does that do to performance mode? He says it doesn't help at all. Like, it's very marginal. Like, one frame differences in some areas of, like, maybe it looked a little teeny bit better. Like, not even really something that you could measure. He says it still dips below the VRR threshold. That's variable refresh rate. And as long as you stay above 48 frames per second, variable refresh rate will smooth over those drops. You won't notice them if you have a compatible television or monitor. However, it drops into the 40s, which means you're still going to notice. Something strange emerged in his testing. The second combat initiates, 60 FPS is pretty much locked in. Now, that's encouraging to people who really want that fluidity and who really want that higher frames per second experience. As soon as combat starts, it doesn't budge for the most part. I think I saw like a 57 or a 58. That's totally fine in sequences like that. You're not going to notice a 2 or a 3 frame drop, okay? However, as soon as combat is over and Clive puts his sword away, it starts dipping again. The frames start dropping into the low 50s, low 40s. Now, the way they're doing this is called dynamic resolution, and many people are running with this, Final Fantasy's running at 720. That's not true. These are people that are basically just liars and smear merchants. They're running for Twitter impressions and click farms. Basically, what happens is the internal resolution drops to 720 during some of the more intense, larger scale fights because it's doing everything it can to maintain 60 FPS. Now, people that prefer 60 are totally fine with this. Now, we obviously don't want the resolution dropping that much if it's possible, but resolution dropping internally while being upscaled, virtually every game is doing this to achieve steady 60 frames per second. You're also having this experience on your Xbox Series S if you play Halo. It runs dynamic 1080. That means it's not staying at 1080, it's dropping below 1080 in order to maintain frames per second. This is a very common tactic used in performance modes. It is dropping lower than ideal, and it is noticeable according to John Linneman. He believes there is a path to 60, even in the exploration and some of the open areas. areas he thinks there's potential suggestions and things that they could do. So again, just to restate it, many games are running the internal resolution lower and then upscaling it. There's a great video I watched on how upscaling technology is getting better and better. The focus on native 4K has virtually taken a back seat because it's incredibly difficult, and the guy that made the video about upscaling was showing, he was saying, here's 4K, and then here is something that's being upscaled to 4K, and you can only really notice the difference when you're completely standing still. Once you start moving, it's extremely hard to detect that you're dealing with an upscaled resolution. Again, that's what most games are doing. Final Fantasy's not doing anything weird. They're not doing anything that's not normal in the industry right now, but hopefully they could get those dips to not be quite as extreme. I, for one, will always take a resolution dip over a frame rate dip, because when you're in a high action sequence and there's a lot going on, those resolution dips are a lot harder to detect. Frame rate dips are very easy to detect because the entire game feels like it sort of stutters or skips, and that is very, very unenjoyable and immersion breaking. Now, aside from performance mode, and he had some minor gripes about some side quests, he had nothing but praise for the game. That's something that has to be considered in this discussion. People are running with quotes from Digital Foundry, trying to make this game look terrible. It's a 35-minute video full of glowing praise, and there is a small section dedicated to performance mode with the hopes that patches will iron out some of the problems. Mainly what is happening with the frame rate dips, if you are in a town with a ton of NPCs, it's pretty bad. I've seen footage. It is not good. Thankfully, that's not primarily what you're doing in this game, and when it happens in exploration, that is where I think they really need to set their focus. It's not really happening in combat, and that's really all that matters to most folks, I would imagine, especially if you're choosing it because you want that speed and that fluidity. Now, let's move on to some other reviews and what they thought. I want to take you to one that wasn't very glowing, just to be fair, and a bit balanced in the coverage. Videogamer.com broke their summary into two parts. They didn't seem to enjoy the story. First, they say, quote, "At its peak, Final Fantasy XVI is a dark, brooding fantasy epic propelled by a rich, circuitous narrative of feuding kingdoms and personal revenge gone awry, one punctuated by engrossing set pieces unfolding in a gorgeous, sharply realized world." So they think, at its peak, this is a great game. Then second thing they say is, at its worst, it's an overly sentimental, rooted in an icky forced realism, made worse by stifled combat with diminishing returns and insufficient agency to make us feel like we have a stake in Clive's ordained immovable fate. So they actually gave it a 7 out of 10. So they're not giving it a super low score. They're certainly not giving it a glowing score. It's not getting like a high 8 or a 9, but they're giving it a 7 even though they found things that they didn't like about it. So this was the more negative review that I found. And I think people are going to land on this game differently. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it at all. I thought the Devil May Cry similarities, I thought the more drawn-out combat, the more JRPG style of game, as well as storytelling, I've just traditionally not really enjoyed those games. I'm not trying to do any othering. I know people claim that like JRPG is othering. It's just a categorical difference and shift. We do this in games all of the time. It's helpful to distinguish between an action RPG and a more traditional RPG. That's not othering, that's helpful categorization. And I didn't think I was going to enjoy this game, and the demo has me very much looking forward to it, especially the story. So they basically concluded with their 7 out of 10 by saying, Final Fantasy XVI is a rich, visually arresting spectacle with engrossing set pieces let down by a bloated story and stifled combat. We are seeing different feedback on the combat as well. You can equip these rings that basically turn it into a single button masher. They talked about this before the game came out, and we're also seeing false narratives. People are saying you can basically play the game pressing one button. They're lying to you. Again, they're smear merchants. They're saying this because they're trying to mislead the public. You can put on a ring that turns the game into a single button masher. That's not the way the combat in this game is built. The combat in this game is actually quite overwhelming and complex. That's why they have those rings in there. Some people aren't going to want it to be that extreme. So let's go for some buckshot scores and some buckshot summaries. Deserto gave it a 5 out of 5, saying, Final Fantasy XVI is a good game. In fact, it's downright triumphant. This is one of the best action RPGs ever made. If you can disavow yourself of preconceived notions about the series, you'll find a game that's more than worth your time to invest in. IGN called it amazing, gave it a 9 out of 10, and said, featuring fast, reflex-driven, action-heavy combat, Final Fantasy XVI is certainly a departure from what fans may expect out of a Final Fantasy game, but its excellent story, characters, and world building are right up there with the best the series has to offer, and the innovative active time lore feature should set a new standard for how lengthy, story-heavy games can keep players invested in its world. Screen Rant called it a modern masterpiece, giving it a 5 out of 5, saying, Final Fantasy XVI is Square Enix at its best, refining an already beloved formula into something that ambitiously strives to be something more than it was in its last iteration. Clive's journey, his friends, and the world are memorable and fundamentally human in their representation, making them resonant and relatable. It's a bitter tale full of sadness and hope, and it's one that won't be forgotten anytime soon. It also stands as one of the most accessible Final Fantasy games ever made, thanks to its smart inclusion of timely accessories, so there's little preventing those keen on giving it a try. So you can't help but hear all this and think that the negativity is being grossly overstated and exaggerated. That's to be expected right now in the petty console war scorekeeping. You know, if you're down bad and you feel disappointed because you've had to spend a couple of weeks defending 30 FPS, it makes sense to celebrate resolution drops in a game you'll never play. Let's talk about the performance issues, because I do think this is something worthy of criticism. Okay, first let's talk about the FPS issues in performance mode. I will not lie, this is incredibly disappointing, especially after installing patch 6 for Jedi Survivor. I continue to think that developers are aiming way too high and they end up breaking promises. I also have this disappointment because this is driving a narrative that these games can't hit 60 because of the consoles. It is crystal clear that developers are making weird decisions. FSR 1, like really? And beyond that, dynamic resolution that only turns on in combat, proving you could lock this game at 60 FPS. They're choosing not to. They showed the actual combat sequences, and as crazy as they got, I think I saw the lowest dip was like a 56 or a 57. That is totally acceptable in the realm of games where bosses eat up the entire screen and the set pieces are gigantic. But they want to hide the dynamic resolution changes. I guess they don't want that happening in the open exploration, because even according to John Linneman, when the actual 720 internal resolution hit, he said it was noticeable. Now, I don't know if I'm going to notice that in a fight where I'm fighting something of this size and doing everything I can to stay alive. He's obviously keeping his eyes peeled for technical missteps or faux pas. He's not necessarily just playing the game to play the game. I'm not accusing him of bias. I'm simply saying his eyes are looking for something that most gamers aren't going to see. But none of this proves that next-gen consoles are too weak. It proves that devs continue to make really weird decisions. And the funny thing is, many people taking this game to task are the same ones who just got done defending 30 FPS in Starfield. They claim, see, it's a good creative decision. You should just cap your game at 30. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what's actually happening in Final Fantasy XVI. They've employed either old or outdated tech, and they seemingly have prioritized things at the cost of frame rate. Those are creative decisions as well. There's not some blanket statement here, well, no, games just can't hit 60, so you might as well cap them at 30. That's ignorant. Well, guess what? Quality mode has no issues. So if you think 30 FPS is totally fine, then Final Fantasy XVI has knocked it out of the park. If you think capping a game at 30 is totally okay, you've spent weeks defending it, then Final Fantasy XVI is a triumph, because quality mode doesn't budge, and it maintains 30 99% of the time according to the tech review, so this game deserves high praise, just don't put it on performance mode. The problem is honestly specific to those of us who want performance mode. My hope would be that all projects currently in dev start to prioritize this, right? Just do it. Just do dynamic resolution. I'd rather have the resolution dip than have the game skipping and stuttering because you don't want me to see a slightly blurry background. Like, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of immersion. When a game stutters and skips or drops frames, it feels like something is wrong. It feels like the game is breaking, like what's actually happening. So just turn on dynamic resolution throughout the entire game, and that will resolve a lot of these issues. Gotham Knights, Redfall, Starfield, and now Final Fantasy XVI are learning that folks really want 60 FPS, and they're willing to give things up for it. Now this leads to my final section. Fair criticism versus unfair criticism. I believe it is totally fair to criticize the devs and the team for performance issues in Final Fantasy XVI, especially in light of all of the marketing and the interviews. You can't talk about showing off the power of the PS5 and then fail to deliver a polished performance mode. You are standing next to first-party titles that look great and offer performance mode. You're standing next to Burning Shores and Horizon Forbidden West. You're standing next to God of War Ragnarok and Ratchet and Clank. These games have lots of different options and modes, and they don't struggle to maintain 60 FPS. So if you're going to talk a big game about showing off the power of the PS5, well, you deserve scrutiny and criticism if you fail to do that. Now, I will push back on those who are trying to equate this to the 30 FPS cap in Starfield. First, the developers of Final Fantasy XVI are not defending this, okay? Fans of the game are not defending this. We're asking for better, and the devs are committed to giving us better, okay? That's a giant difference between what's going on with Starfield at 30 FPS. Both fans of Starfield and Xbox, and Starfield developers and Xbox staff are defending the 30 FPS decision. So, a 30 FPS capped game better be rock solid at 30. A performance mode having some issues is not equal to that. So I see both fair and unfair criticism in this situation. Unsurprising, people who aren't even going to play the game or even own a PlayStation 5 are the ones making the unfair criticisms and the false equivalencies. And much like Digital Foundry, I know what it's like to spend 30 minutes saying something only to have one section sliced out. Digital Foundry spent roughly 30 minutes of their 35-minute video giving glowing praise to Final Fantasy XVI, but we're fixating on 720 resolution, misrepresenting the fact that it's internal and not what's actually the image being displayed on your screen because it is upscaled. Many people don't even understand how upscaling works. In layman's terms, most next-gen games are rendering at a lower resolution and using upscaling technologies to give you a higher resolution image on your TV or your monitor. And when the resolution internally goes up and down, this is called dynamic. What it does is it lowers that number in order to maintain frame rate. Why does this matter? A crazy intense fight with lots of particles on the screen having fluctuating resolution is way less noticeable than frame drops. It's also way less immersion breaking compared to 30 FPS, in my opinion. How do I know this? Most people have no idea their games are doing this in performance mode. The sheer ignorance of people is being displayed on Twitter as we speak. Dynamic resolution is commonly employed in performance mode, and you just don't realize it. This is being fixated on now because of an ever-present and childish console war. If the internal resolution is dropping, and it's dropping low, is that disappointing? Well, of course it is, especially if I notice it, and if it hurts the graphical impact of the fight. And that again goes back to my criticism of the devs, and I think they push this game too far. But does that mean that the game is garbage, or that it's running like trash? No, it certainly doesn't mean that, especially considering how many games are implementing this and getting better at it. Upscaling technology will hopefully continue to improve, which will allow more resources for graphical fidelity along with stable frames. So, is Final Fantasy XVI a perfect game? No, and I didn't expect it to be. Their language about performance and the day one patch convinced me this game would actually still have issues day one. But from Digital Foundry to the smattering of the reviews that I looked at, and the game, as far as I can tell, is delivering an excellent game. Was this game too ambitious? Did it do too much? It sounds like it, and hopefully they can wrangle the few issues to the ground, because it still looks like a Game of the Year contender from where I sit. So let me give you my thoughts and my conclusion. The reviews make it almost impossible to deny that Final Fantasy XVI is a great game, and the demo was a great use of marketing and transparency. From what I can tell in my experience with the demo and reading the reviews, the game delivers on almost all fronts, but like so many games coming out, it feels like it needed a little more time. The second thing I want to say is about that. The performance problems are falling into two unhelpful ditches. On one hand, there's anti-Sony fans that are almost giddy that Final Fantasy XVI isn't perfect, so they overstate and they mislead. Just this morning, I saw a tweet that was so misleading, it got a community note put on it. Hilarious. But on the other hand, big fans of Final Fantasy and Sony are trying to minimize this. The truth, as usual, is somewhere in between. The press and the interviews talked a big game, and they fell short. The hope is they can resolve these issues with upcoming patches. While the issues aren't as extreme as, like, Jedi Survivor, I hope I'm not saying this months after the release, as I've had to say with Jedi Survivor. Conclusion. Thankfully, most of the gaming world will never see the childish fights on Twitter, forums, and YouTube. Frankly, it's embarrassing, and I'm glad that most gamers don't set foot there. I'm confident, given the reviews and my experience with the demo, that this game will do very well. Given how tight the Game of the Year race is this year, the performance missteps may take this game down a notch. But when you're flying this high, it might not matter. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom continues to be included in the Game of the Year discussion, and even it doesn't maintain 30 FPS. So both games have a similar mark against them, which in my book is something to celebrate. If we're getting games that are so big, so fun, and so good that we have to search for flaws, I think we're in a good place. 2023 continues to shape up to be a great year for gaming, and Final Fantasy XVI is just one more addition to the list of games gunning for Game of the Year. And that is the show open, a 25-minute show open. I kept it under 30 minutes. We did it, chat. We did it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let me just do a spotlight highlight of one of our sponsors. If you've never tried out Gamer Advantage glasses, they're not sponsoring today's stream, but we want to just highlight who we work with periodically. I'm wearing a pair of the Storm frames, they're Lucid Storm frames. These have a really, really nice sunglass attachment that clips right on the front. They're very stylish. They're very reasonably priced. Use code Lono at gameradvantage.com. They're blue light blocking. They're the lightest, most comfortable glasses you can wear, especially those of us that have to wear glasses in game with headphones on. So that's a highlight there. Make sure and check out Gamer Advantage, and always be sure to check out reforgeroast.com. That's our coffee. That is not a sponsor. So go through all the rituals. Smash that like button. If you watch my show every day, make sure you've done that. That is a huge help. With 700 people here, we should be closing in on 300 likes by now. So make sure you're not missing out on such an easy way to help the video find more people. Make sure also that you guys are considering, let's get the member goal started on the day. Every 25 I get 5. Shout out Moss with a $2 super chat tip during the show open. The lack of people of color, I can't understand. I don't care about stuff like this when I play a game like this. I don't think that's ever the focus. The focus is telling a good story, not checking off some box. You know, did we include enough? I don't know. Are we speciesists as well? There's only chocobos in this. We need to get a couple more. You know, we need to make sure we got other species of animals in here. Come on, that's just ridiculous. We don't need to check boxes that are arbitrary. That's not how you make good games. That's not what drives good storytelling. Is Final Fantasy perfect, says Chrissy? Not at all, but it's ambitious and fun, and it's on new hardware, testing the waters of new performance. My only issue with trying to run that narrative is, why are they using FSR 1? Like, what? I don't know. FSR is not a terrible upscaler. Right, but John Linneman seemed to think that, casual grinder gets a gifted member from DK Bager. How the turntables. Thank you so much for gifting a member, DK Bager. Casual grinder dropping bombs, and it's coming back around. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I want to say they're pushing tech. Like, John Linneman was under the his opinion seemed to be that FSR 1 is not good. So the question would be, why are you using that, right? Why is that your choice of all choices? He seemed to be like, I can't believe they're doing this. FSR 1 is the odd decision, maybe too late. If we're keeping it a buck, they flopped using FSR 1. Yeah, the way he talked about it, I was like, I'm not super tuned into this world, but he made it sound like that was a really bad decision. In my mind, when you look at this many reviews, when you look at this many breakdowns, like I really thought Digital Foundry's breakdown was very fair. It was very thorough. He went through shadows on clothing, shadows in environments. Like, it was very, very well done. And then people are like, well, here's 4 minutes of him talking about performance mode. This game's trash. And it's like, that's not at all what I would conclude after watching their 35-minute video. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are lurking too hard on me, man. Smash that like button. Y'all need to wake up. Casual Grinder says, wake up! He's got 21 gifted members. He said, you're going to gift to me? Well, I'm going to drop a bomb on the chat. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button. Celebrate these gifted members right now. Eugene says his breakdown is why I bought it. Always is, they crush it. Digital Foundry's goated. Grinder says, I knew that's what you were waiting on. Yeah, Casual Grinder was basically like, once I get a gifted member, I'm gonna drop the bomb on everybody. Lone Wolf gifts a member as well. Thank you so much. 22 gifted members already, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for 200 likes. I know it's weird to talk about that, but like just coming in and smashing that thumbs up does help the video find more people, so always make sure you're taking the time to do that. Sorry, Lono, I'm a zombie at work from playing Final Fantasy XVI since midnight. That's right. All you guys who were playing since midnight, man, get involved here. Smash like, gift a member. Lone Wolf's doing single members right now. He's inviting you to join a single member train. If you guys have paid attention lately, this community is so generous. It's a great reason to be here every single day. Why not use FSR 2.1 for Final Fantasy XVI? I'm not a tech expert, so I don't know. Is that something that they can update and add in later? Can they just bump up from FSR 1 to 2? I mean, is that possible? I don't know how it works. I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, we're going to get so much better performance out of games once they do FSR, once they start using FSR. Yo, Casual Grinder says, I'm not done, and he blasts us to 34 members. Lone Wolf's going to take it to 35 members on the day. Just that fast. 31 minutes into the stream. That's more than a member a minute. That's absolutely insane. You guys are incredible. The hypocrisy I'm seeing on Twitter from Xbox fans is awful. They use Forspoken as ammo to bash Sony, but then they brush off Final Fantasy XVI and say it's just a third-party game and PlayStation fans shouldn't be proud. DK Baker and Darth Nihilus are saying, hey, let's do this single-member train. Let's do it. They each do one, and they tag team it up to 37 members. From the top rope, says Dark Taco. I got about 3 hours into the game, and the plot's making me theorize like crazy. I'm loving it. Hope y'all are having a great time as well. Good to see you, Drexen. Yeah, I didn't see very many people criticizing the story. DB Cooper says, I'll jump on the single gifted train, and he bumps the line to 38. 2 more, and you're going to let somebody have a nice 10-bomb layup. Nice, DB Cooper. He says, choo, choo. FF16 is getting unnecessary criticism in my opinion, says TB. It runs well, the performance issues are overblown. Time to take a step back. Like I said, though, in my show open, I think that the performance issues are falling into 2 ditches. There's people that are acting like it's not a big deal, and then there's people acting like it's the end of the world. It is worthy of criticism. They're out here talking about they're going to show off the power of the PS5. Okay, well, I can play Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, and I don't have this experience. You're standing next to first-party titles, Yoshi P. If you're going to start bragging about that, you better be able to bring the goods. Another single gifted membership from Scott Woodford. It is indeed a single gifted member train. Prinab over on Kick says, kind of disappointed that the performance mode's lacking. Luckily, I don't have my PS5 this summer, so I'll play it after. Hopefully, it's fixed by then. And a 10-bomb from Rissick. Rissick says, I'll put us right on the doorstep of 50. Just that fast. 33 minutes into the stream, and we already have almost 50 gifted members. 10 more. I'm sorry. No, I owe you 10 once it hits 50. And 5 from Rissick to bump it over the line. He says, I'm not going to let it sit there on that pretty little thing. We're not going to do this. We're taking it to 54 out of the next milestone of 75. Very much overblown. It's the thing is if the diehard and if the anti, I don't even want to. You know what? I'm done calling them Xbox fans because they're not Xbox fans. They're anti-Sony fans. If you were a fan of Xbox, you'd be focused on Xbox. You'd be playing games over there, right? You're not an Xbox fan. You're an anti-Sony fan. And there's a giant difference between the two. Bumping us to 55, begging for the 20-bomb layup. 55 out of 75. Is someone going to slam it home? Joker with the layup. TJ Rage tries to do the layup, and he misses. He misses. He gets beat to the layup by Joker. We're still counting it as a layup. You guys are competing for the layups. I love it. I love to see it. I'm not even going to call them Xbox fans anymore. That's not fair to Xbox fans. It isn't. If you're an Xbox fan, you don't fall into this category. You don't fall into this category. Anti-Sony fans fall into this category. Being almost giddy that, oh, Final Fantasy XVI has some performance problems. You're going to ignore 30 minutes of glowing praise from Digital Foundry and be like, ha ha ha, we've got it. We've got it. It doesn't maintain 60 in performance mode. Yeah. You seem awfully excited. Why is that so exciting for you? Can you play that on your Xbox? Right? Can those 5 minutes of criticism is apparently that's better than any of the games you can play right now. Like I said, they're not Xbox fans. They're not. No, you're an anti-Sony fan. Yeah, I'll be playing the game today. When we're done with this stream, we're going to be playing the game. Yeah, it's 720. That's right, Nick. It's 720. It's 720. It's not. It's called dynamic resolution. Internal res drops to 720 at one moment when he was showing some insane fight, like Godzilla's on the screen. You're like, oh, I can't abide this. Come on. You're overstating it. I didn't let him off the hook. In my opening monologue, I said, listen to me. This is not acceptable. You can't do this. You can't be out here talking about, yeah, man, we're really, really pushing who? Oh, they're calling me for my yearly visit, my cardiologist. I was like, what the frick? I was like, huh? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt myself. I don't even know what I was saying. Defending performance issues? No. I did not let them off the hook in my show open. I said, you're out here talking about this thing's going to show off the PS5's power, and then it launches with performance issues. I'm not defending the performance issues at all. No, you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. There's a giant difference between saying, look, man, this deserves criticism. Y'all were talking about showing out the power of the PS5. Y'all better fix this. And they're committed to fixing it. Do you see the difference there? I'm not defending it, and neither are the developers. The developers aren't defending it. I'm not defending it. Nobody who's playing this game is defending it. We're all saying the same thing. This is disappointing. Y'all should not launch a game like this. What are you doing with FSR 1? Right? What are you doing? That's not defending it. But when I'm smacking down anti-Sony fans who are literally taking 5 minutes out of a 35-minute video and trying to tell the public game runs like trash, game's garbage, game's terrible. You know what's funny is they're the same people who just moments ago were defending 30 FPS. Well, guess what, hypocrite? You can play this game on quality mode, and it doesn't budge. It doesn't budge. It doesn't. So if 30 FPS is so wonderful, and it's a totally fine thing, then just play this game on quality mode. And according to Digital Foundry, it stays at 30 FPS 99% of the time in quality mode. So you don't get to sit here and spend weeks defending 30 FPS and be like, well, all the stuff the game's doing, you don't understand. It's a creative decision. Well, okay, well then play Final Fantasy XVI on quality mode. Play it on quality mode. Runs fine there. From everything they said, this is an issue with performance mode. And that issue is worthy of criticism. And they've acknowledged that, and they're going to fix it. I'm not letting them off the hook, though. I'm not like, well, you guys should have delayed the game then. That's incomplete in my book. That's an incomplete product. And now that's not the focus of the reviews, thank goodness, because the review outlets have, more than 2 brain cells to rub together. They know that's not the focus. Yeah, 88's considered a bad score. I love that too. Like, if anything slips out of the 90s, it's bad, right? Anything slips out of the 90s. Oh yeah, it's bad. It's not worthy of Game of the Year. It's like, what? I said the other day, when Xbox Era's their video went viral on Twitter, claiming that, like, people are automatically going to give Starfield, like, what do they say, a 7 or an 8 or an 8 or a 9 or whatever. And I was like, an 8? An 8 is a good score. I said that if the Starfield reviews came out and it was like 8s across the board and a couple of 9s, I would say that must be a really good game. That's a good. If that many different outlets, if that many different people, and it's landing in the high 80s, that's amazing. Hold on, it reaches 720 in one big fight, whole game 1080p on performance. No, again, that's a misrepresentation. Internal resolution is not the resolution of the image that you're seeing. Yeah, and then you learn that Metacritic scoring is weighted, so it actually shouldn't be an 88, but whatever. If you actually look at how Metacritic weights their scores, it doesn't even make any sense. This game should have low 90s. It has an 88 because of how scores are weighted on Metacritic. Some review outlets hold more weight on Metacritic than others, so take that for what it's worth. I have a feeling Starfield's going to get torn up for its technical issues. I mean, I don't really feel like making predictions about Starfield. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think Starfield will review quite well. I do. From everything we've seen and heard, I think it'll review just fine. I think if Starfield lands in the 80s, I'll be excited to play it. If it lands underneath of that, I'll be worried. I'll be like, yo, what happened? But if it lands in the 80s, I'll be fine with that. I don't expect that game to land lower than that or much higher than that. I think that's where it's going to land, and I think that's great. If we end the year and most of the games that come out are landing in the 80s, that's a really, really good year for gaming. Like, we need to have a reality check. You have to have a reality check. If you're going to end the year and you say, let's just say 30 games come out. Let's say 25 of the games that come out land in the 80s. Brother, I will take that. That's a success story. That's incredible. Like, that many review outlets, that many games, that many game types, that many development teams, and if you got all these games landing in the 80s and some in the 90s, that's a really, really good year. That's a super good year for gaming. I don't think an 88 is a bad score at all. And if you go look at how they weight scores on Metacritic and you compare it to OpenCritic, you'll see why it slipped out of the 90s. It's basically, they're not rigging it against Final Fantasy XVI. They've just set it up in a way where it's extremely hard for a game to hold a high score on Metacritic. It only takes a couple of the more weighted outlets to pull the score down. There isn't enough time for that many good games. Right. When you have outlets that are giving a game a 100 and then proceed to say in their review, stating the game is far from perfect, look up Game Rant. Alex Jones, I've never been okay with that. They did it with Halo Infinite, they did it with Jedi Survivor, and now they're doing it with Final Fantasy XVI. I 100% agree with you. I don't think you should be giving a game a 10 and then being like, oh, but there's problems. It felt like a meme when we read Halo Infinite reviews that were like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and then you read the review and there's all these criticisms and problems, there's all these things missing, and you're like, why'd you score it this high then? Like, I don't understand that at all. It doesn't make any sense. They did the same thing with Jedi Survivor. This isn't one particular side that's getting the treatment. They did the same thing with Jedi Survivor. 9s and 10s and blah, blah, blah. And what? And the game has tons of problems. Jedi Survivor still runs like hot garbage. It's been out for what? Almost 2 months. They're on their 6th patch, and it still runs poorly. And they get to throw out their stupid image with all those 9s and 10s. Get the frick out of here. What issues did Infinite have? You had to read the reviews. They highlighted all kinds of problems. They highlighted issues with certain features being missing, not having co-op. They talked about how the open world was uninspiring. There was criticisms in interviews that gave Halo Infinite 9. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. I remember reading them and thinking, this guy's being pretty honest, being pretty critical, and then you scroll down to the bottom and you're like, why'd they give it a 9? I don't understand. Ghost of Tsushima is really great, but yeah, 83 is garbage, so my opinion is trash. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I think the game... Oh, I like the game, but they need to fix the frame rate. Yeah, I had a whole section of my monologue dedicated to the performance issues. I will say this, though. I will say this. I hope they just give me dynamic resolution throughout the entire game, because I don't care about that. I don't. I don't care if during some fight where a Godzilla-sized boss is dropping the internal resolution, that doesn't bother me at all. If the frame rate stays consistent, I'm good. Like, when I'm playing Jedi Survivor and the frame rate drops and stutters and hitches and there's screen tearing, brother, that is so disruptive to the experience. It's so disruptive to the experience. If Jedi Survivor was just consistently dropping the resolution and the frame stayed stable, homie, I'd have beat that game by now. I would have beat that game. I'd have been like, I'd have played it. That doesn't bother me. It's way less immersion breaking to have your resolution drop than it is to have the frame rate drop. What if it dips to 540 like Survivor? The res is the issue. That's not the only issue with Survivor. My issue with Survivor, homie, I don't even see the resolution dipping because all I see is the game hitching and stuttering and juddering and freezing and screen tearing. I never once saw any issues with resolution in Jedi Survivor. Never once. I never saw it because all I see are the frame problems. They clearly made an artistic choice with the FPS. Well, what I ultimately said was, this is continuing a theme that I find worrying, that developers are just swinging too hard. Let me offer this hot take, says Zubair. Upscaling from 720 may be passable and playable, but it's not next gen. Yeah, well, I agree with that. I would agree with that. Andrew's going to bump the line to 57. Thank you so much. Look at that. 57.75. It's a palindrome. Thank you so much for gifting a member, Andrew. It goes to Buckshot. Every 25 members, I give 5. You guys have already secured 50-something members, so I have to gift 10. We'll do that when we switch to gameplay later. Excited to play Final Fantasy XVI after work today. Enjoy the gifted, whoever got it. Thank you so much, Andrew. Yeah, like... I said during the section on performance issues, I was like, this is worthy of criticism because this doesn't sound like you are showing off the power of the PS5. It sounds like you guys made bad decisions. That's not the same. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not... If at that one level, you make a game, and you go too crazy, and you swing too hard, and it runs poorly. Okay, you made some scope level bad decisions. That's not what this sounds like. This sounds to me like they made some really weird decisions, like FSR 1. Why? Why would you do that? And why would you do that? And then knowing that you're doing that, there's no way they didn't know about the performance issues. There's no way. I think they were confident in review outlets and the average person playing the game on quality mode. I think that's what they were hoping for. I switched Jedi Survivor to quality mode. I couldn't take it. Yo, thank you, Ric Flair, woo, with 20 months. And I'm going to be more obnoxious. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. The option to turn motion blur should be an option. There's confirmation that that's coming. There's confirmation that they're going to let you turn off motion blur. I didn't even notice it. John Linneman thinks it makes the game look more cinematic. I don't know if I agree with that, but I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it at all. FSR 2 was released mid-development cycle. If it were easy to swap out, they would have, says AOZ. That doesn't mean they can't migrate later. Have they patched the game yet? Yeah, the day one patch doesn't make any differences according to John Linneman and Digital Foundry. It was FSR 1 or nothing. It was their only real option. Okay, well, that makes sense in the timeline why they chose FSR 1. Okay. Well, then that actually goes back to what I was originally saying then, that they just went too big. They went too big, and I think that's concerning going forward, because there's all these people out there. When's the beard getting shaved off? In July. There's all these people out here that are like, you know, these consoles aren't strong enough to do 60. These consoles aren't strong enough to do 60. Oh, okay. That's not true. That's demonstrably false. You can look at games right now that are next gen that are maintaining 60. So if you don't maintain 60, it's a choice. It's not the console's fault. They chose with Final Fantasy XVI to do this. They chose to swing hard and really ratchet things up. That's a choice. That is not some indictment of the power of the console. You chose to do that. You could have done what Ratchet and Clank did. You could have done what Ragnarok did. You could have done what they did with Burning Shores. They ratcheted up graphics. They made Burning Shores look beautiful. Did it mess with performance? No. It was a choice. New games should use 2.1 or 3 and should be much better, says Zubair. The Darkness says, I'm jealous of anyone who's able to play games in quality mode. After playing everything on the PS5 at 60 since 2020, 30 FPS is too jarring. I am also at some level jealous of people who can play at quality mode. Somebody asked me, like, are you going to play at quality mode? No. But all the people that defended 30 FPS can't criticize this game's performance. You can't. You've lost your right to criticize this game's performance problems. Why? Because quality mode is immaculate, according to John Linneman. It runs fine. It's 30 FPS 99% of the time. So if you just spent the last couple of weeks defending 30 FPS, congratulations. You have surrendered your right to criticize games that don't hold 60 very well. You can't talk about it. You're not allowed to talk up here anymore. The adults are talking. You sit down there at that table where 30 FPS is totally fine, and we shouldn't be expecting these consoles to do 60. Well, you sit down there because you can't talk about games' performance outside of quality mode. That's all you're allowed to talk about now. Because if 30 FPS is totally fine, then any game that nails quality mode and runs really, really well, that's all you can commentate on. That's the table you sit at. Social Destruct with a $10 super chat tip. Great opening and great show. We need more content creators like yourself that'll call out issues. Much appreciated. I appreciate the $10 super chat tip. Thank you. Bear says, I was getting sick watching the Digital Foundry reviews 30 FPS footage. No joke. Oh, yeah. It looks blurry. It looks blurry. John Linneman was like, he was encouraging people. He was like, start the game in quality mode and let your eyes adjust. And I'm like, Johnny boy, I can't do that, man. I can't. I tried it with Redfall. I tried it with Zelda, and I loved Zelda, and I couldn't do it. The problem is, there's other games out. I helped my son play Kena Bridge of Spirits. I helped my daughter play Stray. And as I came back to Zelda, and I was like, oh my golly. Mitch! The man himself, Mitch, one of the funnest names to scream, dropping a 20 bomb on chat, takes it all the way to 77. It's a magical number on a magical day. That's a lot of members. Thank you so much, Mitch. Love you, Lono. Love you, Mitch. It really is a fun name to yell. I always look forward to people gifting that have really good... I like yelling Rissick, too. Rissick! That scared me. Sorry, Nick. Nicky! I could be in a movie, you know, and just be the guy that gets really angry and, like, yells from the other room. You know, Tommy! Get in here. Kane is amazing for the first time as a first-time developer. Yeah, man, Kane is a pretty cool little game. I was really impressed watching my son play through it. But, yeah, I can't do it. I just can't. I can't. By the way, if you just got a gifted membership, that's 77 people, okay? We're really asking folks who have gotten a ton of gifted members up to now, we're asking to consider converting, like pick up your own membership. You can upgrade to Member Plus for $1. It's like we basically created that as an easy way for you to jump out of the gifted member pool for $1. And then you'll be taking care of your own membership every month, and that frees up room for more people to have their own memberships. You could also bump up to VIP. That gets you into an unfiltered VIP stream on Fridays. We only do one VIP thing a week. The rest of the week, if we do members content, it's for all members. That includes Friday night. This Friday night, we were considering, we hang out for like an hour or two, and then we were considering having Madam and myself play X Defiance to see who can get more kills. Lono having chatgasms again. That's right. I think the studio still need to work on this day. For this day on Redfall. Poor Arcane Austin. Lono, if you was buying a new TV now, which would you buy? In my opinion, LG's the best. I have a really nice Samsung that the stream bought for me, so I don't know. That's not my world. I don't commentate there. I don't want to do that because this is an action game. Trying to play Devil May Cry at 30 FPS is like playing Sludge. I need the game to feel snappy, says Ashen. All my games to feel snappy. The best thing I can say about performance mode, Ashen, is it basically holds 60 in combat. Like, res will drop in like the really big fights. I think in most of the garden variety fights, the res will be fine. But in the really big fights, he shows this one fight where, like, the guy's enormous. It's like you're fighting Godzilla. In fights like that, internal res is going to drop, right? And that'll probably be noticeable if you're looking for it. I don't really notice res dropping in high octane. Discord's going to do that thing where it reboots itself. There it goes. I hate that it does this. It's like, all of a sudden, I can't do anything in Discord. Am I still... Okay. All of a sudden, I can't do anything in Discord, and it just reboots itself. Like, they did something to the software. It's either rebooting itself to... hang on. Speak on stage. Okay, I'm back. It's either... Discord's either rebooting itself to push an update, or it's crashing. I can't tell which. But periodically, like, all of a sudden, I can't click on anything in the Discord, and then it's back up. So, I don't know. Severin Evans with a $10 super chat tip. Lono, man, it sucks, but it is what it is. Your fear that 30 FPS is back may come home to roost, it seems. I'm not sure this game's the case. Why it can't maintain 60, though. Better luck next time. Well, the current theory is that if they would have been able to implement FSR2, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Performance mode would be fine. So that gives me hope that more companies will be able to implement FSR2 and use that for their performance mode so that I get 60. The best thing to come from this, I would hope, is that Gotham Knights, Redfall, Starfield, and now Final Fantasy XVI is showing developers 60 FPS is a priority. Figure it out. Figure it out. If you got to run dynamic res, if you got to run FSR2, if you got to hire a genius from Oxford, whatever you've got to do, 60 is a priority. The market's expressing that. Now, is the market expressing that enough to make developers prioritize it? I don't know. It's hard to gauge because Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, we are not the majority. The sad reality is so many of these people don't have their TVs hooked up right, don't have the right cables, don't have the right settings, and they're playing these dadgum games on quality mode, and they got no clue that performance mode's even a thing. So many games boot up in quality mode by default. The 40 FPS mode in Forbidden West is fantastic. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for the 120 hertz 40 FPS mode. The only reason I don't think a lot of developers are going to push for that if it takes dev time is a lot of TVs don't even have that capability. The average person, like I just said, doesn't even have their TV set up right. I'd rather run 1080-60 than 8K30. I think the sweet spot's 1440-60 and then just run dynamic on the res. I'm okay with res dips. I am. If I've got to have something, something's got to give, okay? That's the reality. Something's got to give. If you're going to make games look nuts and you want flashy lights and photorealism, something's got to give. What kind of person doesn't check their TV settings? Right, like I don't want to do that, Zubair. I'm resonating and sympathizing with them. They bought a console. They don't want to do all that. They're not going to do any of these things. Funny enough is my TV was on game mode, which I guess automatically turns on VRR. So my TV did have VRR on. You know what's funny? You can't go anywhere in my TV and find VRR. You can't. It just turns it on when you're in game mode. So even if you try to go find it, it's not user friendly. If I would have been like a layman and you guys like, yeah, just go turn on VRR, I'd have been like scratching my noggin, like looking through every menu for VRR. Finally, I Googled it and it was like, oh, when you set a Samsung television to game mode, it enables VRR. And I'm like, my TV was already on game mode. Rap says, I agree with 1440-60 being the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. Just set it to dynamic. As I was just getting ready to say, something's got to give. I would much rather have my resolution going up and down than my frame rate. I'd much rather have that than play quality mode. Right? If I have to pick, let's say there's three choices. There's quality mode, fluctuating frame rate, and fluctuating resolution. I'm going to pick fluctuating resolution every time. It's the least noticeable of the bunch. Quality mode looks beautiful when you're standing still. Well, I'm not taking screenshots for Twitter. I'm playing a dadgum video game. Frame rate fluctuating? No. It feels like it feels like something's broken. Fluctuating resolution? I'm fine with that. My pal had a weird message on PS5 saying turn off the PS5, it's too hot. I'm hazarding a guess that there are people who have pets, maybe they smoke, maybe they don't have it in a properly ventilated area. I played the sections where these people are claiming their PlayStation got too hot and mine didn't. I genuinely think there are people out here that need to take a can of air and blow out their PS5 and everything will be fine again. Like, blow that sucker out. Make sure you don't have it closed up in a closed-in space, and it'll be just fine. Two people, the one person on Twitter that said they were having heating issues, they then encouraged people to clean out their PlayStation 5s, and then their next tweet was they had put in 35 hours in the game. So the idea that this thing's going to overheat your PS5, like, I can't wait for the Xbox smear merchants to run with that story, right? It's breaking PlayStation 5's overheating. The one person that tweeted about it encouraged people to, like, clean out their PlayStation 5, and then they had said, I got 35 hours in the game. This game's amazing. Don't vape near electronics either, folks. Yeah. I have a 32-inch 4K HDR10. I replayed Red Dead Redemption 2 to check how 30 FPS stable would feel like. My conclusions is okay, but your eyes need some min to adapt. Gene, I adjusted to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm not saying it's impossible. It took me about 2 or 3 play sessions to adjust, but then I played one game at 60, and it ruined me. We had been going through a gaming drought, so I was like, this isn't so bad, and it's Zelda. I love Zelda. But then I played a couple of games at 60, and I tried to go back, and I was like, it felt like somebody was pulling on my face. I was like, get out of here. If you just live in a 30 FPS game for a couple of days, you can probably get over it. I'm not going to do that. If I have to deal with, frame drops when I'm exploring the open world or frame drops when I'm in a town with NPCs, that doesn't bother me at all. That I don't play a game for that. I play a game for a game like this especially. I want the story to be amazing and I want the action to be fun. And that's what this game seems to offer. That doesn't mean I'm defending it. I'm saying I'll eat around that fat, but buddy, you guys got to fix this. Y'all talked a real big game before this thing came out. Y'all talked a real big game. I just went from Diablo at 115 FPS back to Tears of the Kingdom. Oof, woof, 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 woof. Go down to a fourth. Golly. Digital Foundry also suggests that if you run quality mode on Final Fantasy XVI to give it time and don't switch back and forth, that your eyes adjust. Yeah, John Linneman said that, and I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. I can tolerate frame drops, in a town. I can tolerate that. If it was happening during fights, I would do the same thing I did with Jedi Survivor. I would put the game down, and I'd be highly critical. Like, I'm a humongous Star Wars fan. Did you guys see my tweet about Star Wars Jedi Survivor? I said, this is an embarrassment. I hope you don't get any award nominations. Why? Because it's true. The director of the game is out here talking about, oh yeah, we could have taken more time, but we knew we could get it ready. Were you drunk when you made that decision? Jedi Survivor is anything but ready. What do you mean? You should have taken 6 more months. I would have much rather been like, oh, it got delayed. They ran into some problems. That's disappointing. I'd rather do that than buy it and false start and play and then put it down. That's worse. Yeah, the 6th patch, Brap, did nothing. That's why I retweeted them. I retweeted their the 6th patch notes. I was like, this is an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment. It was like the most generic patch notes I had ever seen. That's after them going quiet for like a month. They went quiet for like 3 to 4 months. And I was like, what? I guess that means the next patch is going to be huge. No. The next patch did nothing. It fixed bounties, and that was about it. There's a continuum from understanding to condoning to defending to excusing. Right. There are people who understand, like, okay, I get it. Starfield's doing things that just the box can't handle. That's not condoning or excusing or defending. There are the people who condone, defend, and excuse 30 FPS. Like, oh no, it's totally fine. Well, okay. Then Final Fantasy XVI is totally fine, because it has a quality mode that doesn't budge from 30. So, thank you for admitting that Final Fantasy XVI is a triumph. Like, 3 to 4 months. Oh, did I misspeak? They went. I told you that I do that. They went quiet for 3 to 4 weeks. I apologize. I told you guys I swap words all the time. I need to get my freaking brain checked. They went quiet for 3 to 4 weeks, and when they finally dropped a patch for Jedi Survivor, it didn't do anything. It was like, you guys did nothing for a month, and this is what you got? The concern I have is that they're never going to fix Jedi Survivor. That's just the way the game's going to run. I was waiting for the bounties to get fixed. I needed platinum. No, I knew there were people. I saw people celebrating that. I did. I saw people celebrating that, and they were saying, hey, thanks for fixing bounties. I can actually play now. I can actually complete the game. Like, okay, cool, good for you. Jedi for Survivor is slop. Yeah, I don't defend this kind of thing. I think that's the thing that you can get here. I don't defend it in Final Fantasy XVI. I don't defend it in Jedi Survivor, and I don't defend it in Starfield. Like, that's the difference between me and the people who choose a side. I'm just on the side of good games launching. I am. I don't care if it's Star Wars. I don't care if it's PlayStation. I don't care whose game it is. Doesn't matter to me. If your game launches and has problems, especially in light of Final Fantasy XVI, they asked for it. You can now hide video ranking and performance details. Well, why would I care about that? Like, I like seeing that. Anyway, let me give you guys a member count since you went a little crazy. 77's kind of nuts. 4616. Man. Stone Spire thinks you guys can hit 5,000. I don't know. End of the month is 8 days away, and when we get to the end of the month, buddy, it's going to be pain. A lot of big days last month, but you guys are within 400 of something I didn't even think we'd ever be saying. I didn't think we'd be saying 4,000. Jiminy Christmas. What's the paying member record on Purple? Well, I think gifted record over there was somewhere, but I don't even remember. You'd have to go back and look at my record-breaking tweet. I thought it was in the 6,000s. Somebody thought it was in the 8,000s. I don't know. That was so much gifted over there, though. Everybody went crazy. I think it was over 6. Somebody said it was over 8. I'm like, I don't think it was ever over 8 over there. I don't think so. What will happen here? Over there we had like 180,000 followers when we did that. I haven't even hit 30,000 subscribers over here yet. We're a baby channel. You gonna dress up as Jar Jar at 5K? We said Luke Skywalker for Beat Saber. I'll give you Jar Jar for 5K. I don't think we could find a Jar Jar outfit though. I think Madam was looking and couldn't find one. Maintaining 60 FPS during combat doesn't mean there isn't an issue. Yeah, that's not a hand wave. I don't accept that. If someone's like, well, it maintains 60 during combat. Henry Heck pushes the gifted member count to 78. He's like, man, one at a time will work. I mean, honestly, there's 700 people here. There's 700. If 200 of you do one, you could do a one gifted member train and walk it all the way to the door. About 1 in 6 subs is a member. It's absurd. It is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Zubair. It's crazy talk. Anyways, I don't accept that. If people are like, oh, well, it's fine. It runs at 60 in combat. I don't care about that. If it looks like a slideshow when I go to a town. If the frames... Did you see the clip in John Linneman's video? As soon as combat ends, it's like... It's like it's hitching. It's like... Dude, just leave dynamic resolution on. That's all you got to do. I'm fine with that. Let that be my choice. Just turn dynamic resolution on everywhere. I don't care. I truly don't. Severin Evans with the $5 super chat tip. When you say they talked about a big game, what are you referring to? Power of the PS5 or they don't need a day one patch? Making sure I understand. East Coast Overlord with a gifted member taking us to 79. Okay, so the day one patch thing, Severin, that actually wasn't really them talking the game up. That got a little twisted. They said they had no current plans for a day one patch. And it got turned into my favorite slippers ever, the truth. I have to show the stream this picture. So when I say they talked up the game, Severin, I'm talking about the interviews. I am talking about the interviews where they said this thing's going to show off the power of the PS5. This game's going to make you say, wow, the PlayStation 5's powerful. Turn on dynamic all over and then later patch it up to have better resolution. Yeah, I'm in full support of that. Look at this fake thumbnail my brother made. Hang on. Hang on. I can't. I tell you what, I'm just going to have to do it like this. I'm just going to have to hide kick. Look at this. My favorite slippers ever. The truth. That's my favorite thing is it's actually a good thumbnail. Like, it's actually a good thumbnail. That's what kills me. Your use of color, the pace, the kerning on the font, the framing of Jar Jar, the color of the arrows. It's actually a good thumbnail. It is. It's a good thumbnail. DK Beggar pushes us to 80. That's a layup. 80 out of 100 is a big boy gonna slam home a 20. We've already had a 20 bomb from Mitch. We've already had a 20 bomb from Casual. It's dangling there and waiting for the slam dunk. I would click on that thumbnail. It would be stupendous. Oh, yeah, I'm not covering that right now. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. right now with FTC and emails and stuff. I'm not really into that right now. We will cover all that. I try to space out my coverage. Because I think that too many people they cover that like almost every day of the week, and so we've been trying to space out our coverage. So you'll probably get a stream about that from me next week. Jazzerification says I'm going to do a +1 on the layup. He adds a +1 to the layup, so we will pass 100 if anybody slams it home. Save it for April 1st. Thank you, chat. Glad you liked it, Lono. Yeah. Jazzerification says frick that 80. Xbox fanboys won't watch if the thumbnail mentions truths. I mean, I said this morning, I don't even... Jay Crest slams it home! The layup! The third big bomb of the day! Another 20 bomb. 5,000 members might just happen. We will actually have to try to find a Jar Jar outfit. We will actually have to do it. If you guys, I'm telling you, I'll make it happen. I'll buy some homemade Jar Jar outfit from Etsy if I have to. If you guys hit 5K, I'll do it. I'll friggin' do it. Oh, you found one? All right, hang on. I gotta save that. I'm gonna save that in Madam Games. All right, I got it saved. It's only $17. I was hoping it would be like super nice, leathery, like rubbery, really expensive. Talica comes in with 13 months and it's a VIP. Can't believe it's been an entire year. I wouldn't have it any other way. Absolutely happy and proud to be a member of this community. Keep up the work. Lone Wolf with 20. It's a 20 gifted member train. I've never seen this before. Well, I did a week ago. You guys are doing it again. I can't even say that. I'm like, never seen this before. A 20 gifted member bomb train. That's a crazy sentence to get to say out loud. And Def Driver says, I'll add 1 to the pile, and he bumps it to 126. He adds 5 on top and rolls it over to the next milestone. I owe you guys so many members already today. East Coast Overlord says, look at you go. Thank you so much, East Coast Overlord. By the way, you guys that watch on Kick, thank you for double dipping. Virtually everybody watching over there on Kick has a joystick. If you want to join up over here as well, it supports me. It's a better split on Kick. So if you want to double dip, it's awesome. You could help me get actually help me get verified over here as well. Maybe get on their radar. So thanks for consistently watching over here. We've had more viewers over there consistently since we started streaming over there as well. We do multicasting. We stream in both places. Lone Wolf says, it's been a minute since I gifted a lot. Enjoy the members, guys. That is so kind. If you guys got a gifted membership today, don't forget, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell button. Make sure you're synced up in Discord so you don't miss out on all of the great benefits that you get. And as far as new subscribers today, thank you so much. We are actually primarily hanging out with people who were already subbed. We are primarily hanging out with people who are already subbed. And that's really, really cool to see such a strong turnout from the existing base. Like, that's really, really neat, especially for Final Fantasy. Here's the thing, though, Lono. I know you, and the moment you get to 5,000, you're going to roll to go over to 5,500. There's no winning in this place. Zubair's like, I know what you're going to do. Hey! Thank you so much, Sven, for renewing over there on Kick. Hello, Kick. Been a minute. That's right. Takes us to 21 total subscribers over there. I think we need like 4 brand new subscribers on Kick to hit the requirement for verification, but they can't be gifted. You can't gift on Kick to drive that. Somehow, we've come together to pick a 30 FPS game to boycott and make it clear that we're done. I'm not sure what you're saying, Louis Love. What 30 FPS game are you boycotting? Redfall? Starfield? Final Fantasy is not a 30 FPS game. It's a game with a performance mode that isn't working very well. Like, that's not a 30 FPS game. It's different. E-begging? Yes, yes. I'm sure you watch somebody that... It's weird to be at the level of a beggar and to call somebody else a beggar. That's always weird to me. Preacher says, I think we need 6,021 members. Oh, was that the record on Purple? Last time I checked, there wasn't even a Kick app in the Play Store. I know they're in the Apple Store. I don't know about the Play Store, but I know they are in the Apple Store. Darth Jar Jar video game? Oh my gosh, no. No. I hate that theory. I hate that theory. Stop. Don't even do it. Don't even do it. All right, let me give you guys a recap. It's been about an hour. Well, it's been an hour and 20 minutes, but it's been about an hour since I did my recap. Give or take a few. I think it was 6,021. Okay. Yeah, Lono, talk about somebody that likes to keep moving the goalposts. I mistyped. Somehow we have come together to pick a game 30 FPS to boycott and make it clear that we're done. I don't think you can do that with... I mean, buddy, Redfall and Gotham Knights were pretty clear indications that the gaming community doesn't want 30. Right? Like... I don't think that we need to boycott a game. Alex is always saying never beg for likes. We have to mention likes. It's just a reality of the business. If I don't say it, people will forget. People that are here every day and love me will be like, oh, I completely forgot, Lono. Sorry for not pressing the like button. If you don't say it, it won't move. You got to remind people on a regular basis. Like right now, we should be at 400 likes. That's just the pace of the show. Like, we're in a live environment, baby. You got to maintain that ratio or YouTube's going to look at you funny. Why do you got that many people hanging out and not hitting like? Do they not like the content? Is the video not good? Are you doing something wrong? We're at the mercy of a faceless data cruncher that'll determine that your video is not good anymore because people left or whatever. We were having that problem when we were having... Remember the blips? You guys remember the blips? Every day we would have what we called a blip, and it would mess with view count, and it would hurt the stream. It's why I switched to normal latency. I switched off of low latency to normal latency. Why? Because quality, no show interruptions, and reaching more people matters to me. You want to get unidimensional and be like, don't focus on metrics, don't mention likes, don't have memberships at a certain price. You do you, boo-boo. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to actually make the thing work the way that it's supposed to work. And if you want to make it work, you make a sacrifice and you drop out a low latency for the sake of the viewer. Every once in a while, you got to be like, hey, homies, you got to be smashing that like button for me, okay? And then you just move on, right? There was a time where it hijacked the show. I mentioned it too much. Now, I've been streaming for an hour and 20 minutes. I think I mentioned it early in the stream, and now we're mentioning it right now. So, that's why there's a big delay. Yes, but that's also why you don't get blips and stutters and resets anymore. We were getting those like every day, and the minute I switched off of low latency, it went away. If you don't think frames matter, Lono will lose viewers on frame drops and hitches. That's right. That's right. That's right. All right, let me give you guys a bit of a recap. So basically what I did, AV1 could make that a thing of the past. Yeah, AV1's almost here. We'll be able to do that. How do I sub on here? There should be a subscribe button It's a little confusing because on YouTube, subscribing is free, joining costs money. On Kick, following is free, subscribing costs money. It's kind of funky. I wish they would unify the terms, but YouTube was here first and used subscribe, and then, you know, everybody came behind and used subscribe as a paid feature. Okay. Anyway, so I broke my talk into 3 sections, all right? Final Fantasy XVI review roundup. All right, I went through, did a review roundup. I primarily leaned on Digital Foundry since everybody's sort of snagging a snippet of the Digital Foundry 35-minute video, and they're trying to weaponize it and wail on, you know, on the game and talk about how it's trash or bad, okay? The people that are doing this, listen, I'm telling you, stop giving them clicks, stop giving them attention. They're liars and they're smear merchants. I love seeing Bellular dunk on that one sock account this morning. It's like, these people are so dishonest, they're getting community notes on their tweet. They got a community note on mine the one time, and mine was fair. The Game Pass one was totally fair. It was like, I went back, and they did it with Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was included on the image, even though it was already on Game Pass. Redfall should have been on that image. You will never convince me that they were being weird with Redfall. They were being really weird with that game. It took forever to show up on Game Pass. It wasn't listed as coming soon on Game Pass. You will never convince me, not even with a community note, that like they weren't being weird with that game, okay? But people are cherry picking and pulling out 5 minutes out of a 35-minute video to act like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is trash, okay? So I did the review roundup. I went through Digital Foundry's video. It's almost universally glowing language. He encourages you to play it on quality mode. 127, bumping us by one more member. Thank you so much, Jazzification. And it goes to Matthew Hawkins. So then I moved from my review roundup and I addressed the Final Fantasy XVI performance mode issues, because there are issues with performance mode. That's the big thing that's getting lost in the dialogue. Okay? Final Fantasy XVI is running fine. It has issues in performance mode. Many people will boot this game up, play it on quality mode. They won't have a clue what we're talking about. It's unfortunate, but it's true. As somebody, myself, I highly prize performance mode, okay? I highly prize it. I'm worried that more and more people just don't care about it because they just boot up and they just play it quality mode. Are you excited for Mario RPG Remake? Oh my gosh, I am. Were you here the other day when I said that was one of the few turn-based games that I actually enjoyed? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I just mentioned Super Mario RPG the other day, and Super Mario Wonder looks awesome. A return to 2D, 4-player co-op, it looks awesome. It does. Like, I love that Prince of Persia and Sonic Superstars, is it called? And now Super Mario Wonder is showing people, like, side-scrollers can be great. They really, really can. And these people look, a side-scroller shouldn't cost $70. You shouldn't be able to talk about video games. That's sacrilege. Shut your mouth and sit down. Can't charge full price for a side-scroller. You can't talk about video games when you're that stupid. Stop it. Lone Wolf coming back in, renews his membership, and bumps us up again. Thank you so much, Lone Wolf, over there on Kick. So, I moved to talk about the performance issues. And you have to understand the performance issues are in performance mode. And I am being critical about it because that matters to me. If you play all your games at quality mode, everything I'm about to say doesn't matter. It doesn't. You just called Eugene stupid, Lono, and I'm here for it. I don't think you should be able to talk about video games. You should have to take a timeout. If you're going to look at a game like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or Hollow Knight Silksong, or Mario Wonder, or Sonic Superstars, and be like, yeah, you can't charge full price for that, right? Now, if you want to say as a consumer, you're unwilling to pay full price for that, you'll wait for a sale. That's not the same as saying they shouldn't be charging this or they shouldn't be allowed or whatever. Those are two different statements. You as the consumer are like, that, I don't get enough value out of that. I'm not buying that at full price. That's not the same as what I was seeing on Twitter. I saw nonsense on Twitter about Sonic Superstars, which looks well worth the price of admission. That game looks awesome. be honest, side scrollers are trash unless you're talking about Paper Mario. Yeah, or all of the other ones I just mentioned. Ori and the Blind Forest got how many award nominations? Shh. So, performance issues. He said, I never said they can't charge full price. Yeah, he's not saying they can't. He's just saying they're not good enough experience for me. He just refuses to pay full price. Sure, yeah. It's like me. I would never pay full price for a turn-based game unless it's Super Mario RPG. I just wouldn't because I don't like them very much. I don't think they're very compelling with respect to gameplay, right? Okay, so the performance issues. I was pretty critical of the performance issues. I said, you can't hand wave this. You can't act like it's no big deal. It is a pretty big deal, all right? As far as the performance issues go, they're also kind of peculiar because they're virtually non-existent. They're virtually non-existent in combat. It maintains, from what I saw, between 57 and 60 frames per second in crazy high-octane combat. They do it with dynamic resolution. I do like Ori, to be honest, haven't played in a while. Yeah, Ori is amazing. That you like the first one especially, and then Will of the Wisps was so good. I actually think everybody should play Ori and the Blind Forest, then play Hollow Knight, then play Will of the Wisps, so you can appreciate and respect just how much Hollow Knight impacted Will of the Wisps. I think it's well worth playing them in that order. Starfield will not have any ground-based vehicles or creature-based vehicles, confirmed by Todd Howard. I didn't expect that. I don't know why anybody expected that. They would have shown that off. Okay, so when it comes to the performance issues in the game, I was critical. I said, decisions with FSR, and again, people educated me on this morning. They said, well, FSR 1 was the only thing available during development. Maybe over time they can upgrade it to FSR 2. My position is, if you can achieve locked-in 60 in combat with dynamic resolution, just turn that on in the entire game. Or give me the choice. You could have quality, performance, and then you can have, like, performance 60, where I get 60 all of the time, as close as possible with dynamic resolutions. Like, just basically give me a third option. Because there are going to be people that don't want that. They're like, I'm okay with frame dropping and some hitching in the open world in the towns, but I don't want the resolution to drop, right? Okay, fine. Because John Linneman shows in his video that, like, as soon as combat ends, the frames start dropping again, okay? I will not be playing on quality. I can't freaking take it. I can't do it. So after I talked about the performance issues, I talked about fair and unfair criticism. I think it is a fair criticism to say, listen, y'all were doing interviews talking about this game was going to show off the power of the PS5. You're held to a higher standard. You raised the bar really high and you failed to jump over it. That deserves criticism. That I take points off for that. I feel like I was going to land on a 9 out of 10 with this game. That's where I was estimating I was going to land. It's more like an 8 to an 8.5 now. Because one of the primary things I was looking forward to, displaying the power of the PS5 and playing a really crazy looking game, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting something I was promised. So you got to take points off for that. And dropping something from a 9 to an 8, I think that's fair. Because y'all were talking about the game, and sounds like you were basically talking about quality mode, because the quality mode seemingly has no problems at all. That's where I get into unfair criticism. People that are trying to equate this with, well, I said yesterday in a member stream, I said that if Starfield can't hold 30, that's more damning than this game's performance mode having issues. Because if you drop your game all the way to 30 and you cap it there and you don't let anybody go above it, and if you can't maintain 30, that's more damning. Why? Look at Final Fantasy XVI in quality mode. It's not dropping below 30. There's so much happening on the screen. There's so much insanity going on, and they hold at 30. If you can't get your game to hold at 30, that's more damning than having a performance mode that needs to be optimized, tweaked, and patched. And they're not defending this. I can't stress that enough. The developers of Final Fantasy XVI, Yoshi P, fans of the game, myself, big-time fans are not defending this and saying that it's fine. Now, there might be big-time fans that are hand-waving it and acting like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. When you hype up your game like that and then you fail to deliver a solid experience and performance, I don't think you can hand wave that away. But I also think that we're not defending this. The people that are excited about this game, the people that are taking issue with it, we're not defending it and saying it's okay. That's the difference. Y'all are out here defending 30 FPS in Starfield, saying it's fine, saying it won't affect anything, trying to act. I still have people trying to claim that Starfield's not a shooter. What? Highlights from this interview with him: no ground vehicles, 4 main romanceable companions, no fishing, 10% of plants have life on them. There's a radio station local to one location. Starfield's a modder's paradise. You can customize stolen ships, but they have to be registered first. The outpost and shipbuilding systems are very deep and complex. They're independent. Oh, they are intended for later in the game. Surveying planets and systems earns money. Okay. Nothing major from that interview. I think just good info. That all sounds good. I like the part about the outpost and the shipbuilding. Plumley says fair point regarding Starfield. Yeah, like I feel like I'm being rigidly fair here. I do. I feel like I'm being fair. If you drop I would have said the same thing to Final Fantasy, by the way. If Final Fantasy would have walked out and said, we couldn't maintain 60 in performance mode, we're just giving you quality, you know what I would have said? Number one, I would have said, I'm not going to play your game. And number two, I would have said, if you can't maintain 30, then take a walk. Take a walk. What are we doing? What decisions are you making if you can't do that? Get out of here. In a nutshell. Oh, yeah. What Digital Foundry said about Final Fantasy versus what a fanboy wants you to believe they said. Right. Digital Foundry says performance mode needs improve, but the overall quality, polish, and accomplishment of the game deserves lavish praise. And then this guy says Digital Foundry recommends playing in quality mode as performance mode is atrocious. I just wonder what it's like to be a liar. Like, they didn't even use the word atrocious. I think Linneman's language was, it doesn't look good. He doesn't say that it's atrocious. He says it doesn't look good. He did a freeze frame of the 720 internal, and he said, this looks like a mosaic painting or something. I forget how he phrased it. He didn't say it looks atrocious. Guys just lie, man. Put that on the top of your resume when you're interviewing for a position. What do? Well, I tweet a lot, and it's usually a lie. You'll make a great salesman. Johnson, get him on the team. I remember getting points off in art school for being recognized for being ambitious, but not meeting the mark. So I do hold these to the same personally. I do as well, Russell, because that's my whole point is, like, if you're going to be that ambitious and then fail to hit the mark, like, I don't care that you were really ambitious. I'm saying the same thing to Starfield to a certain degree. If you're truthfully saying that you don't care that Starfield's 30, but you're getting triggered about Final Fantasy performance mode, you're not trolling. I feel like you shouldn't be playing video games. Well, I think you have to see through these people. You do. I don't name anybody, but I don't pull my punches anymore. They're smear merchants and they're liars. They are not on Twitter commentating about video games in good faith. They're not. They're basically an NPC in this weird theater on Twitter. It's not real. It isn't. It's almost like fabricated drama in a reality show where they're like, all right, Susan, we really want you to come in with an attitude and pick a fight with Claire. She comes in. I told you not to touch my... And it's like, this isn't real. It's all fake. It's all drummed up nonsense. They're not saying anything that's genuine that they truly believe. They just know that they can foster the fight and get the clicks. That's the entire point. It's why I just blocked them all. It's like... I don't even want a random scroll to give you an impression. I don't even want to give you that. right? The more, listen, one of the best things you can do right now as a gamer is commit to, what would the word be? Be intentional with your engagement. Do not engage with a donkey that's telling you the sky is green. Don't do it. Don't engage. Just block or mute so you never see what they're saying. Like, be very intentional with your engagement. There are people who like Xbox and make good content and are not out here doing this nonsense. Engage with them. There are people who like PlayStation and make good content and have good commentary. Engage with them. You can fleece and shred and modify and say, this is what I'm going to engage with. If more people started doing that, the less people you have in the current, the less force and power that it has. Like, the more people that jump out of that current and say, I'm not going to do this. This is so weird. It's literally like interacting with NPCs in a video game. Like, they only have so many things they can say. Like, just jump out of that current, man. Get out of there. Engage with folks that maybe you don't agree with, but at the very least, they're an honest person. At least give engagement to people who are honest, or they own their biases, and they're not out here just smear merchant lying. Like, you can affect the power these people have. You can. You're telling people to be ignorant of opinions they don't agree with. Not sure I agree. You're summarizing what I said in a terrible way. I didn't say ignore opinions you don't agree with. I said find people that you don't agree with that aren't lying. Like, it's very easy. There's a big difference between somebody that's like, I'm okay with 30 FPS in Starfield, and here's why. Yeah, Doc Dark is a good Xbox person. I've never once felt like he's out here just tweeting nonsense and lies. I've never felt like that. He shouted me out yesterday in a video, just being honest about the Xbox Series S. That's a guy that you can rely on for, he owns his bias, he knows where he leans, but he's not out here just being a smear merchant and a liar. Like, you can engage with people you don't agree with. I engage with him all the time. I engage with, oh no, it's Alex. He's more of a PC guy. He's more PC Master Race, right? I don't agree with his takes on stuff. His take on Xbox raising prices, I don't think I agreed with a single point in his video, which is surprising, right? I'm a Sony pony. You think I'd be out here cheering for Xbox being taken to task? I don't think there was a single moment of Alex's video that I agreed with. I was like, yeah, I don't really see it this way. The whole raising prices thing, you're not going to see me go on some, campaign against Xbox for that. We all knew that was coming. What is this? What is this? Come on. It's nothing. It's a nothing burger. There's nothing there. Yeah, I like SkillUp. I like SkillUp's content. I don't know if I've watched a review of his that I haven't really agreed with. There's only been a couple that I've thought, I don't necessarily agree with that for the most part. I agree with his stuff too. Do you own the Dreamcast? My older brother had a Dreamcast back in the day. A friend of mine had a Dreamcast. And I don't think he bought a single game. I think he was one of the people that basically stole everything. The death of that poor system. Guys, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button so you can talk in the chat. What do you think about all the Final Fantasy XVI reviews that are out there? Where are you landing on the topic? We are going to be jumping into gameplay today. Probably in about 45 minutes, we'll be doing gameplay. Keep in mind that currently I owe you guys 25 members. I owe you 25 members. You can continue to push that envelope if you'd like. So make sure you keep gifting. In about 45 minutes, we will switch to gameplay. When we switch to gameplay, I'll gift all of the members in the gameplay stream. And the reason I do that is it gives you the maximum amount of time to gift and get more people included in what we do here. I'm actually going to schedule the gameplay stream now. So we'll do that in about 45 minutes. Appreciate all the amazing support today. We appreciate all the people that have been getting involved. More and more people have been hanging out in the member streams. That's been really, really awesome to see. It's been really, really cool to see the big turnouts there. We've been having bigger member streams than we used to have, of like just garden variety streams. Like if we pick like a bad topic, we've been having more people and members than we used to have for some of those. That's just been an incredible thing to see. I like people kind of catching the vision of the community and what we're trying to do here. And we will be picking up Final Fantasy XVI gameplay after the demo and the prologue. I know there are going to be people that are kind of like, I don't want spoilers or whatever. You know, you're not going to get any major spoilers if you watch for 10 or 20 minutes, right? Once things start to heat up, I could see, checking out. But try to hang with me when we switch gears in about 45 minutes. Even if it's only for about 10 or 20 minutes, that definitely helps. No offense, I'm not watching gameplay stream. I won't get to play until tonight. No problems, Thrifty. Thanks for 3 months. As I was just saying, like, if you're worried about spoilers, if you watch for 10 minutes, I don't think you're going to have anything major spoiled for you. I can understand being like, all right, you're getting into some stuff I don't want to see in bailing, but it's a massive game, 20 minutes ain't going to hurt you. DK Beggar pops one. He pops a gifted member and bumps us to 128. We're almost to 130. 130 will be the layup. There's been some big boys today. Mitch dropped a 20 bomb. J. Chris dropped a 20 bomb. And Lone Wolf dropped a 20 bomb. Who wants to join the 20 bomb Hall of Fame today? Somebody can set the layup with 2 more. Are you starting Fret? I'm going to go off the demo save, Dark Taco. Nobody's going to want to watch the demo gameplay. The people have seen that 10 times over. Right? There's just no way. There's no way. I get people not wanting spoilers, but I also don't think anybody wants to watch the demo prologue gameplay again. They've seen it a bunch. Guys, if you haven't smashed like yet, take a second to do that. A lot of y'all are lurking and listening and treat me like a radio show, and I greatly appreciate that. Rigo's gonna bump the number. I love how many individual gifted members we've been seeing. Such a rise in people kind of owning that and taking ownership and being super generous. Good to see new names getting gifted memberships. And Patrick says, I'll do the layup. There it is. It's not Patrick Ewing, but it is a Patrick, and he puts the layup in the air for somebody to dunk it down. FTC on opening arguments are horrid. They're telling companies they're signaling bad deals. Oh, they're signing bad deals? Like, who are they to tell someone what's a good company? Yeah, we're not covering that today. There's no crazy spoilers in the first hour or so after the demo, says Eugene. Okay, well, that's helpful. So Eugene's played the first hour or so after the demo, so I'll give people a heads up before we switch, and even now. If you've played the entirety of the Final Fantasy XVI demo, you can easily watch me for 30 minutes to an hour. We typically only do gameplay for about that much time anyway. It's just a really nice sampling of the game on launch day, and then we move to, like, members debrief. We'll see how the stream goes. Played 8 hours of Final Fantasy XVI. I love the game. A little slow with combat development, but once it picks up, it really is great. I think this is actually what I hope they do with the combat, Joe. This is what I hope. I hope it is a slow build, because when I played the Iconic Challenge, it was kind of overwhelming. It was like, I don't have any muscle memory for any of this stuff. I want to slowly add those things in and interweave it into what I'm already done. A 60-hour game, watching for an hour or two is nothing, says Paul. Doc asking for 50 mil to move to kick. I could see them doing that, honestly. I could see them throwing 50 mil his way. How did Forspoken have FSR 2, which came out near 5 months ago, says Paul. I think that's an excellent question. Maybe its development cycle was shorter. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. The Dreamcast was the first to market. That's a tough position. The later players could learn from your mistakes. And boy, did they learn. It's a slow burn for sure. With how long the game is, you have to slow burn that combat. You can't have all that you can't have all those abilities in the beginning. You'd get burned out. You'd be doing the same thing for the entirety of the game. It's called vertical progression. You have to have a sense of leveling up. You can't give everybody everything right in the beginning. That's one of Diablo's major problems. The performance issues are overblown. Oh, they're 100% overblown, Broken Lobo. 100%. It's 5 minutes. Digital Foundry put out a 35-minute video, and people are slicing out mere seconds of the video from, he spends, I don't even know how long, let's just say 5 minutes. 5 minutes of the 35-minute video he spends talking about the performance problems, specific to performance mode, not the entirety of the game, just performance mode. And people are slicing out like 2 screenshots. They're saying, yeah, it runs like garbage. It's just, I don't know. If people have ever been more see-through, it's now. It's like the Emperor, it's not even that the Emperor has no clothes. There is no Emperor. It's like you're nothing. Like you're literally just lying to people. Like that's your brand. That's what you do. I don't know. I hope even people maybe that don't prefer Sony, maybe you're an Xbox fan and you're irritated about the exclusivity, you know, maybe you've been traditionally more in favor of Xbox over Sony. I hope even you can see some of these people are just they are not worthy of your support. They're not. They're just lying to you. Lono, you're right. It's a slow build. It helps with your muscle memory playing. As you were speaking, it's something that you get to build up, which is great. Yeah, I had no muscle memory. I was like, what do I do with my hands in the iconic challenge? I was like, what? Like, and then by the end of it, I was doing a little bit better. But I wonder if Kit can last. The only way Kit can last is if they can figure out scalability. They need scalability, and I think with scalability, they need diversification. I think they've got to rethink everything. They've got to learn from where Purple went wrong. I want to be on their strategy team because I actually think I actually have ideas on how they could both reinvigorate and reinvent the live environment by also adding diversification of monetization and content type. But I don't know. We're trying to see. We're trying to see if we can get in somebody's ear because I think I'd be a pretty good asset to their strategy team. I was on a lot of phone calls with the Purple platform, and I know what they were trying to do, what they didn't want to do, what they failed to do, and yeah. So it was calling the plays for the football game using the little screen on the controller that made my jaw drop. Oh, yeah, on the Dreamcast. I remember my friend had a Dreamcast, and I remember us playing, there was a tennis game that at the time was like the best game to play, and that was pretty much all we played. I remember playing that game. I don't remember there being any game that like, that absolutely blew me away. So, I remember the tennis game, though. Yeah, I'm not going to say any of my details. I have plenty of ideas on what you could do with a live environment. I have plenty of ideas on what Kit could do. I won't say a word until there's a contract in my hand and the ink is dry. Yeah, you don't get free ideas from me. You don't get free ideas from me. Virtua Tennis, that's what it was. Virtua Tennis. Yeah, that game was legit. Virtua Tennis was 60 FPS? No, it wasn't. Train's a goat. He knows what he's doing, but you probably could provide some good ideas in consulting. Train and I have similar motivations. We're definitely very different in some of our thoughts and probably personal beliefs, but we both have a very strong motivation to take down the Purple Snakes. So, I'm motivated. I'm going to stay on them, too. You're going to have to tell me no a lot of times, bro. You got to tell me no many, many times. I haven't gotten a no yet. We're trying to open some doors, you know, just for a simple handshake, just an introduction. These people in the submarine are still lost. Oh, I mean, it's tragic. They're out of oxygen at this point. Unless they've somehow surfaced somewhere and they'll be found. If they've surfaced somewhere, then they might be okay, but that's tragic, man. All signs point to they've all passed. They've all passed away. They've run out of oxygen at this point. Gucci with 5 months. It reminded me of old games a bit, like it was originally a remaster. Which game are you talking about, Gucci? You talking about Virtua Tennis? You talking about Final Fantasy? Performance mode hit 720. LOL. I'm sticking with quality mode. Yeah, like if you don't want to see the res drop, I mean, here's how I land on that, Solaire. I would much rather have my resolution drop in combat than play 30 FPS. Like, I'm probably going to notice a resolution drop less, especially when I'm in the middle of a fight and stuff's blowing up and it's crazy. I'm not going to notice that. I'm going to notice frame drops. I'm going to notice 30 frames per second. No, they won't. You can't open the hatch from the inside. Oh. Oh, so even if they've managed to surface, they can't get out. Oh, golly. That's freaking terrible. Would you build it that way? Who thought that was a good idea? You don't even have an emergency thing you can do that like blows something out the top? That's terrible. I mean, obviously, if you were underwater and did that, you'd have to make sure you were at a place where you wouldn't get crushed. Like, the water would come rushing in, but then you could swim out. It wasn't very big. Broken Lobo says you can't even see it. I'll tell you what my main issue is with performance mode. It's not the resolution dropping. It's the fact that it only maintains 60 in combat. That's more irritating to me. That's more irritating to me than some resolution dropping. Come on. A sub full of tourists, it actually makes sense. Yeah, but if you had some process that only the guy driving the thing knew how to do, you don't want like a red string. Don't pull that string. Why? Like, I get that. Like, you can't have like just a drop string somewhere, but the guy that's driving the thing should have had something. At the 2-hour depth, that was enough to crush them. They're done. Oh, you think the submarine got crushed? The CEO of the company said the safety rules for subs were restraining and the company complained about them. He's one of the people on board. Oh, so they had to do it that way. They had to build it that way? Like, that's a regulation thing? Huh. Never flex, your game doesn't need a day one patch. Yeah, I was a little critical of that. I was like, you guys said you didn't have a day one patch plan. You know, you said that this game was going to show off the power of the PS5. I think that deserves a greater bit of scrutiny. I do. What a way to go. Crazy. I'd never be on the sub. Pray for their family. I think you'd rather... I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. I would imagine running out of oxygen wouldn't be as bad because don't you just kind of like gasp a couple times and fall asleep? Chances that it isn't pressure compromised is not good. It got a leak and imploded most likely. Good golly. They lost contact 2 hours into their descent. They're gone. Jiminy. We are in this weird stage as humans where we know enough to just really mess ourselves up. Like, we know just enough to be like, let's just make our own submarine. And someone's like, I've got a ton of money. Sure. And then you die. Implosion is good. It would have been like a millisecond until they died. That's so mean, Uncle Liberty. Statistics now show that seeing the Titanic is, in fact, a once-in-a-lifetime event. That's terrible. True, SSJ Havoc with 9 months, and it's a VIP. 9 months. As I said, Shenmue was my first Dreamcast game, and I was wowed by knocking on doors and using payphones. Then again, I was 8 or 9 years old. I miss my WoW. My kid self used to have that in video games. I think you can recapture that. What a terrifying way to die. You always hope in situations like that they didn't see it coming. Right? You hope that they're just like, hey man, this is great. This is so... Like, that's what you hope for. You hope it's not some frantic 10 minutes of, oh my gosh, we're not going to make it. Like, that's worse. You'd rather it be like an instantaneous surprise and be like, they didn't even know it happened. You know what I mean? I want to see how many VIPs we have. We have 308 VIPs. Current member count is 4650. 4650. You're 350 from 5K. That's insane. When I was getting my QA inspector certificate on my submarine, we had to listen to the USS Thresher imploding as it passed its crush depth. Like, you had to listen to the sound of the metal? Or, like, the people? What did they make you listen to? That sounds awful. The thought that the Challenger astronauts survived the explosion and fell to Earth is the ultimate nightmare fuel. Yeah, but you would pass out. You wouldn't even know it happened. The force of that explosion, being thrown from it and falling like that, you wouldn't even know. You would pass out. Not like sitting there awake, like, I can't believe this is it. Just slowly falling to the earth, you know, just alone with your thoughts. Come on, Zubair. The force of being thrown from the shuttle alone would have broken every bone in their body. The force of being thrown from that explosion, you're not awake. Your neck would have snapped, or your back. All of it would have snapped. Get out of here. You just what, like, gently fly out of the shuttle, and you're like, that was a crazy explosion. They weren't thrown. They rode a cap to the ground. Oh. They rode the cap to the ground. Oh, I was thinking their bodies were thrown. I was like, what the heck? You'd be dead instantly. I played all the PS5 games. I think Demon Souls Remake has the best graphics. I think Burning Shores has the best graphics. Have you played the Burning Shores DLC? I saw graphical breakdowns and footage and screenshots. I think Burning Shores looks better than Demon Souls, personally. I also think art direction's hard to have this discussion, because I think Ratchet and Clank is mind-blowing with what it does and what it offers with respect to like the 5 or 6 different performance options. I think Ratchet's on another level, but the art direction makes people say, well, it looks like a cartoon. Like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like a living Pixar game that you control. Get out of here. Burning Shores is the best graphics we've seen. Yeah, I think Burning Shores is the tip of the pyramid right now for the PlayStation 5's power. I think it looks better than Final Fantasy XVI. I actually don't think Final Fantasy XVI looks graphically better, because they made a lot of decisions that just makes it look a little bit muddy and blurry at times, and it's because I think they swung too hard. I think that's fair. That's fair criticism. Wait, did he answer on what they had to listen to? Did he answer me? Silent Warrior says, yes, they were doing sound trials, so we just heard the metal, not the people on board. Okay. Yeah, just for reference, let me show you guys an image, just for depth reference. Wait, did anybody tell them that this would be a really bad idea? Did anybody tell them? All right, so here is you know, you hanging out with your dad fishing up here. This is a giant squid, maximum known depth. This is a sperm whale, maximum depth. And here's the wreck of the Titanic. So I don't understand what from here to here. There could be dinosaurs down there that are going to eat you, let alone the pressure. They had to sign death waivers. Good golly. Like, just, I didn't know it was this deep. Like, the scope of that is insane. My brother told me that the banging was Morse code. Yeah, they said they heard banging, but like, beneath the sperm whale all the way down to here, homie, there could be dinosaurs down there. There are gonna be dinosaurs down there, bro. I'm not going down there. I don't need to know what's down there, man. I don't. I have no desire. They could face federal probe for negligent homicide. Lono, this was like the 10th trip for the sub? Wait, they've gone all the way down that far 10 times before or 9 times before? Really? Bro, no, thank you. Dinosaurs breathe air, but we get your point. You don't think there was any water-breathing dinosaurs at all? You don't think there's any? There's none of them hanging out down there? I can't believe they've gone down 9 times before. That's absolutely insane. Y'all are blowing my mind. The sub wasn't cleared several times, so they fired the person that inspected the subs. Uh-oh. You look exceptionally stellar today. Molotov Michelle? I appreciate that if you mean it. I've never seen you talk in chat before, so I don't know. Are you just like randomly going around complimenting people? There are no marine dinosaurs. What? No dinosaurs could breathe water. Their metabolic demands were too high. Okay, hang on a minute. So at the time of the dinosaurs, there weren't any known dinosaurs that lived in the water that could breathe underwater that went down really far? There were aquatic dinosaurs, but they breathed air. There were giant water reptiles. But were there ones that could go down into the water and breathe? They're not dinosaurs that you're thinking of. So we're confident there's nothing down there. There's nothing down there from that time period that could breathe the water. We know this for sure. Are y'all sure about that? You sure about that? There's got to be something down there from that time period that could breathe water. All water-dwelling creatures breathe air. They filter it through the water. Well, you know what we're saying? Like, we're drawing a distinction between something that can breathe water and can't, I guess, is what we should be saying. Only the Meg. They'd be like alligators. Right, they'd need to come to the surface eventually. Dinosaur-sized animals that lived in the water. There were animals like that, but they aren't properly called dinosaurs. Oh, okay. So, Leviathan-like creatures in that time period that could breathe water existed. There has to be. Come on. That's where they all came from. Don't confuse prehistoric aquatic animals with dinosaurs. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't be saying dinosaurs. There are dinosaur-sized animals down there hanging out, waiting to gobble up a submarine. I believe it. They're down there, bro, and they're humongous. I believe every second of it. There's something down there that eats giant squid for breakfast. I believe it. There's something down there that snacks on a giant squid and a sperm whale. No doubt in my mind. Bro, I don't want to go down there, man. Yeah. There is a jumbo jet-sized platypus down there that's just waiting to gnaw on you slowly. No, thank you. No, thank you. There are lobsters the size of the Sears Tower down in that water. I firmly believe it. You know, the claw would just slowly come up. You wouldn't even notice it. It would just be like this giant sort of mountainous thing. And you'd be like, is it getting darker than it will? You know, it's just... Nope. I'm good. I'll stay on the land. Listen, you don't even have to go that deep. There's friggin' sharks. Sharks are out there. I don't need that. That freaking Russian guy that got, he was like, what? He was like 100, not even 80 yards offshore, getting slapped around by a shark and then pulled under. I'm good, bro. No, thank you. There is no Sears Tower. It will always be the Sears Tower. I don't care who owns it. Documentary on the submarine incident on Netflix a year from now. Oh, yeah, there'll certainly be one. There certainly will be one, for sure. I believe we're going to find Nemo, and all along it was a true story, not a kid's film. More risky to go that deep in the ocean than it is to go to the moon. The pressure alone is the biggest risk, is it not? Isn't the pressure the number one risk going down that deep? The slightest structural flaw, and you're dead. I am not some expert in this field. I'm not some scientist, but my understanding is the greatest risk of going down there is the pressure. Because if you have the slightest flaw in your structural design, you're freaking dead. You're done. It's instantaneous. You're like squeezing a pop can in your hands. There's always a bigger fish. Lono, look up the video of the two women who were swallowed and spit out by a blue whale. Were their names Jonay and Janine? I tried to make a Jonah joke. I couldn't do it. I tried so hard. I stalled. I couldn't think of it. I couldn't think of a good joke. I wanted to make a Jonah joke so bad. Oh, man. There's a docu-series airing tonight on the UK. Yeah, I mean, there's something a little sick and twisted about our voyeuristic machine that we kind of live in, that this will be an immediate chance for people to make money talking about this. Like, that's always got it always makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Christian humor, Bible joke, I'm out of here. That's right. Guys like Sunday school flashbacks, I'm out of here. Trauma tourism. Yeah. Yeah, the people like making fun of them dying. It's just like, oh my gosh. Jesus School didn't teach you Jesus jokes. Wasted degree. The sub failed inspection needs to be known. I'm always hesitant to buy into when I hear stuff like that. Do we have 100% certainty that it failed inspection and they went ahead anyway? The thing that hits hard is the father with his son on the sub. Are they leaving any family members behind, or is it just the two of them? Because I'm kind of thinking, I don't know. Choosing between the two depends on how old the son is, I guess. It's crazy and awful either way. I think about that sometimes, like, man, leave my kids behind. That'd be freaking terrible. But I don't want them to go with me either. Either choice is pretty terrible. They're both on it. No, yeah, I gathered that. Scientists from UWA in Japan have set a new record for the deepest fish ever filmed and caught. They discovered a snailfish at the depth of 8,000 meters in the Itsu Ogasawara Trench, and they caught two more from 8,000 during the 2-month expedition. That's remarkable. Remarkable. Years before the sub went missing, OceanGate was warned. Oh, they were warned about about taking it down. They reported that a dude legit got fired for telling the bosses that the sub wasn't good enough for that dev. The dude's on record saying some crap like safety regulations just get in our way. Good golly. Well, they're having that Tiger King moment. I will never financially recover from this. They will not recover from that. They simply won't. They will not. There's no way. They're facing so many lawsuits. Your waivers don't matter much if there's a traceable record of negligence, and the waivers don't hold a lot of weight. I mean, the lawyers can weigh in here, but I don't know how strong your waivers are. If you can establish a pattern of negligence, I don't know how strong your waivers are. Whistleblower got sued by the company. Safety is pure waste. Golly. Oh, the CEO's on board who said that safety is pure waste. You can't waive negligence? Right. The sub's unregulated, so it does not have to pass any official checks. Right. If it had been just the CEO, it would have been hilarious. I don't know if I would describe it as hilarious. I think it would be like a Darwin Award. It would be like you shirked and shrugged at all these safety regulations and then you died. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I would ever think that that's funny. You know, foolishness leading to a tragic outcome isn't comedic to me. But it would be a little different if it was like you said all this and then look what happened. Right? But the fact that you took other people with you, that's pretty bad. That's pretty awful. Imagine the last minute mutiny. I don't think there would be a chance for last minute mutiny. I don't think it would. The last and final 20 bomb at the top of the chat's about to fade. It was from Lone Wolf. This layup has been chilling here for you big dogs. When we transition to gameplay, we will be gifting 25 members. I owe you 25 members. We're going to be transitioning to Final Fantasy XVI gameplay shortly. And all of you that are watching on Kick, I'm not really equipped to stream gameplay over there because I won't be able to see anything you're saying. So I'm going to go ahead and end the Kick stream in about a minute, and you can head over to YouTube, and we'll do like a whole redirect thing and all of that. So there's 20-something of you watching on Kick. Head over to YouTube at Reforge Gaming, and you can watch some Final Fantasy XVI gameplay. We're going to get all set up for that. Billionaires full of hubris. Exploration at this level is the ultimate in F around and find out. Captain Toasty Bun says, I'll bump the line. He says, maybe if I nudge it, something special will happen. Let's see. 131. He's tempting the big boys to drop the 20. No, he says, nope. That's so rude. He's like, nobody's getting the 20 layup. Well, now if they 20 layup, it's Agent of Chaos and Slam Dunk in one. So joke's on you, Toasty Buns. All right, you gentlemen and folks and ladies or whoever's watching over there on Kick, thank you so much. Make sure you're following on Kick. Consider becoming a subscriber over there and head over to YouTube. We're going to be switching to gameplay shortly. Okay. There we go. Close out of that. Close out of that. Okay. DK Beggar's going to poke the line as well. He says, come on, folks. Don't leave it hanging like that. Another one. It goes to Molotov Michelle. I think that's such a cool name. And you're still hanging out and talking. So I thought maybe you were doing like the drive-by thing. Where you just like try to make somebody feel good. You're like, you look spectacular today. Your account's rather old, so I don't think you're trolling. Sometimes people do that. They do. They come in and like just try to get your attention. So thank you so much for being here. Currently playing Final Fantasy XVI 2, so I'm going to bail here. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out, Molotov Michelle. You got a membership. I'm out. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. Take the effing W, Lono. I think it's more of an alley-oop than a layup. It's a stylish assist. Isn't that a layup? Wait, am I using the wrong sports term? Am I using the wrong sports term? I thought it was a layup. A one-handed shot made near the basket, especially one that rebounds off the backboard. Oh, yeah, it's an alley-oop, not a layup. That's what I get for trying to talk sports ball. I've been saying layup. I thought, it's setting up the alley-oop. Oh, man. I didn't play enough NBA Jam. I didn't play enough NBA Jam. He's on fire from downtown. Oh my gosh. That's too good. They're reporting they found debris field near the Titanic. Can this just stop? I'll say something different every time. Somebody setting up the double dribble who won. God bless you, but Jesus, you're Googling alley-oop. Listen, you know what's super sad? I grew up watching basketball during its best era, okay? I watched MJ bring home the three-peat. Molotov Michelle's going to pay it forward before taking the day off and bumps us to 133. Thank you so much. And it goes to Blue Minotaur. Oh, golly. I don't believe you. No, yeah, I know, I generally, in a general sense, I know basketball terms. I just grabbed the wrong one. I was like, yeah, it's a layup. It's not a layup. It's an alley-oop. Wait a minute, though. I remember guys saying this, though. I played basketball with guys, and they would say, lay it up. Why would people say that? Were they saying the wrong term? Like, lay it up. And then they'd throw it up, and the guy would slam it home. I'll bet there's a lot of debris near the Titanic, right? It's the Titanic. Saw MJ get a touchdown. I saw Bo Jackson retweeted the footage of when he breaks the bat on his head. And he's like, I didn't want that bat to betray anybody ever again. Oh, man. Isn't that something people say? You had it right the first time. Layup is an easy shot. You can also lay someone up. A layup is to put someone out of action. Lay it up to cause someone to need rest. That's so weird. Why do that was in my memory. That's so odd. You know? It's so odd that's what I thought for sure that was the term. Bo Jackson's a superhero. Yeah, not only is a superhero, he's also considered cheating if you use him in Tecmo Super Bowl. Frickin' dude. Unstoppable. It is a layup. It's easy. Layup's an easy point to be made. Oh, so it worked, saying it's, we got a nice layup here. Slam it home. Okay, all right. Okay. So it works. I wasn't necessarily saying something that doesn't make any sense. Right? Screen brightness, subtitles, text language, voiceover language, graphics, frame rate. We want frame rate. Visual alerts. Enable an on-screen waveform that provides you visual representation of in-game sounds and music. Oh, no, I don't want that. Story-focused or action-focused. Begin the game equipped with several accessories that simplify gameplay. Recommended for those who are less comfortable. I was playing action-focused in the demo. I was fine with that. Confirm, go. Okay. What? It's called a set. Bump set spike. Nix's studio profile. On top of high-quality PC ports, the studio is also working on more and more remasters. Bloodbornium. Somebody responded with Bloodbornium. Like, that's so funny. That's good. Why is it making me watch a cutscene? One player can perform a layup, and alley-oop requires 2 players. Yeah, in my mind, that's what I was envisioning, is like, you set it up, it's 1:30, someone can slam home the 20 bomb. So I was thinking layup, and I was thinking alley-oop, and I was saying layup. I told y'all I mixed my words up. I did it earlier today. You see Doc, he tweeted Kick saying his number's 50 million, and they replied back. Oh, what'd they say? Why am I having to replay this? I played this sequence. I don't understand. I played this icon sequence in the frickin' demo. Why are they making me play it again? Did you guys that play the demo have to replay the sequence where you're just like shooting and dodging? Like, I'm not even having to aim. It's just auto-firing for me. Sports ball, am I right? One person can throw an alley-oop and have the other guy lay it up. Right, okay. But Eugene, did it make you do that? Don't leave me hanging, would you say? And I am officially disappointed in chat for not pointing out that layup is what you do when you're too short to do a dunk. Taunt them with a short VIP goal. Yeah, Creature's saying we could do maybe a VIP goal with X Defiant. Did you delete the demo? I did. I thought it would save it to my profile. I had to keep the demo installed? Are you actually kidding me right now? That doesn't make any sense. It should be saved to my profile. Oh, for Pete's sakes. I wonder, can you think I can download the demo again? I didn't keep it installed. I just loaded the demo save file. Load your save. Okay, how do I do that? Oh, load. Level 10, kill the dominant. Autosave. No, I have one autosave right here. I don't have my demo saves. Download the demo again. Yeah, I should be able to download the demo again and have my stuff. Hang on. View product. Demo. How much time do we have? Oh, we're good. All right, let me download the demo. I don't understand. Like, I just assumed it would be saved on the thing, like on my profile. It would just say, here is this user who played the demo. Here is where he was in the game. Are you on the same PS5? I don't know if I am on the same PS5. I think I might have been playing on the one in my wife's in the living room. Cloud save doesn't do him any good if he deleted the save. It carries over your items and everything. Go to settings, cloud saves, And download save to console. Okay, cloud storage. All right, hang on. I genuinely didn't even think this through. I just thought, oh yeah. Oh, here we go. Final Fantasy demo. Download. Downloading. Autosync for save data is enabled for this game. If you download this save data manually, autosync for save data will be disabled for this game or app. That's totally fine. Yep. Yep. It's closing Final Fantasy. All right, it's downloading. Okay. All right. Now let me reload Final Fantasy. I genuinely thought it would boot up. It would see that I had played the demo and just pick up where I left off. Load game. No, just kill the dominant. It's not there. Yeah, it's got me right back where I was. Let me close the game entirely. Worst case scenario is you have to play an hour and a half of the game you've already played. Yes, and that nobody wants to see that. There's no demand for that footage. That's terrible. Day one to be playing something that's been available for weeks. I get this when I started. I deleted the demo. Yeah, it's got to be because I'm on a different PlayStation 5. So maybe once the demo downloads, I'll open up the demo and then it'll be like, it'll do that maybe. The demo is almost done downloading. It's got 3 minutes left. Yeah, plan better. Plan better. I genuinely didn't know. I was like, oh, I beat it. Cool. It'll have everything on my account. I have a PlayStation account that beat the Final Fantasy XVI demo. It'll all be there. They found a giant tooth amongst the debris field. Did you try your cloud save? I downloaded my cloud save, but I wonder if I actually have to load up the demo for it to, see it. I don't have the demo installed yet, would be my guess. I went into cloud saves. I pulled down my Final Fantasy XVI demo cloud save. I pulled it down onto this PlayStation 5. The save file says she'll be there regardless of the demo being deleted. I think I'm on a different PS5 is the other problem. I think I installed it on my wife's because it was just the one in the living room at the time. And so I logged into my account, downloaded it, played it. This is my other PS5. I have one with the disc drive and I have a digital one. My wife's is the one with the disc drive. Because I usually bring mine into the office for streams on Friday night with her or when I'm streaming with you guys. So, Diablo 4, I have installed on mine. Beat Saber is installed on mine. So, typically, mine is in here. Why don't you have color plates to tell them apart easier? It's not that I made that mistake, Zubair. I genuinely thought it would be associated with my account. I didn't think that I was going to have the exact same PlayStation 5. It's a rare instance. How many people have two PlayStation 5s and would have made the mistake that I made? Barrier deleted the demo and he said he didn't have a problem. Well, the save file's still on there. I'm on a different PlayStation 5. It's an edge case. The average person's not going to do what I did. So, we're at 95%. We're almost there. Regardless, I think she would enjoy pink plates. Get to it. She genuinely doesn't care. I don't even think she looks at hers. Upload it to the cloud really, really quickly. I already downloaded it from the cloud. I literally think I have to load the demo, boot up where I was in the, probably what, in the Iconic Challenge or in the main, I don't even know. I already tried that. I tried manually downloading it, and it acted like I hadn't done anything. The black plates are sick. I like the black ones, I do. Okay, load game. Yeah. I have a level 10 action-focused demo complete from whenever, from the 14th, okay? It's in here. So if I go out here and I switch to Final Fantasy XVI, maybe now it will detect it. No, it's not. All right, hang on a second. I don't understand. It's in there. Upload the save file from the PS5 to the cloud. It's in here. It's already in here. I'm on a second PS5. I can see the save file in the demo. It's there. Like, look. Hang on. Look, if I go to load game, this is the demo. I go to load game, the demo completes right there. You've completed the demo. Unable to load playthrough. Demo complete. It's right there. I don't understand. Like, you may need to delete the current Final Fantasy XVI because you've already started the game. Okay. Are you sure Kill the Dominant isn't the right save? It's where the demo ends. This is the beginning of the demo. This is literally the beginning of the game. This is the first thing that you do. You start at level 10. I can't check anything. I can't check my inventory. I can't check anything. You're good? What? This is where you want to be. Wait, so after you finish the demo, this is where you pick up? Right here? This is literally what I did in when I played the demo. This is the first thing I did. This is the start. I can't even delete that autosave. I wonder if I do a new game, will it trigger the thing? When did it pop up? Yeah, it's not. This is the very beginning. It's not letting me skip the very beginning. Back out of the game, go to the save file for Final Fantasy 16, delete it. Then when you start the game, it should pull from the demo. All right, where do I go in here? I go to here. I go to console storage. Okay, so we want to go to... Did I scroll past it? I saw the demo. I didn't see the main game. What the heck? Sort by last updated. Oh, scrolled right past it. All right, delete Final Fantasy XVI save. Okay. Autosync for save is enabled for this game app. If you delete this save, autosync for save will be disabled. That's fine. I can turn that on after. Okay. Save data for demo found. Yo, you did it. B41 is 0. You the man. You the dadgum man. That's it. Transfer complete. Select continue or load game from the title. Boom. The man. The man. Okay. So if anybody runs into that problem, that's the solution. Thank you, B4110. You are the best. Okay, we're going to transition in just a second. I'm going to quickly run upstairs, though, and use the restroom. If you guys make sure you smash the like on this video, get us to 500 likes. There's easily 50 folks that have not hit like yet. So please smash like on this video before we switch. I'll provide you with the link. I'll also make sure it's the featured video on the channel. It's really, really helpful when you guys support gameplay, and Eugene has already indicated that the first hour or so has no major spoilers. So if you're all the way caught up from the demo, you should be able to watch and not worry. We typically only do gameplay for about an hour anyway. It's just really good to be playing the game on the day. I re-downloaded the demo, and then I deleted my Final Fantasy XVI save, and it fixed it. So only you would have this problem. Dadgummit. It's kind of true. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, I need to disable that Nightbot timer or change it. Edit. There we go. Okay. All right. We got to change this like that. Oh, the music's great. All right, I need to send a tweet. I need to put it in the Discord. If you guys want to head over, there's a link in chat. It will also be the featured video on this channel. Okay. Tweets sent. Think you get struck by the game music? No, this kind of stuff's usually whitelisted. All right, on your way out, guys, smash that like button. There's 400 people still here. There's got to be 40 people who haven't hit the like button yet. All right, I'm going to start the new stream. You guys can head over or I'll redirect you. Click the link in chat. When you get over to the new stream, please be sure to smash the like button. It's super helpful. Thanks so much for checking out Final Fantasy XVI gameplay. I will be picking up right after where the demo lets off. I've been told that the first couple of hours there are no major spoilers, so if you're just wanting to support the channel and watch for a little bit, make sure you hit like, make sure you're subscribed. We already did a discussion of the review roundup. I did take some criticism of the performance issues in performance mode. That is the mode that I prefer. If you want to watch that video, we walked through Digital Foundry's comments, much of which are being misrepresented. Digital Foundry spent about 30 minutes with glowing praise for the game, with a few minutes spent on performance mode. That is the only place these performance problems are happening. It's not happening in quality mode or the rest of the game. So I am going to end that stream and bring everybody over with redirect. Thank you.